You goddamn right. That's workout music from the 80s. That's Olivia Newton-John, man. That was I think she was my first crush. I'm almost certain she was. Her or this girl on a TV series called Zoom on PBS, but it's pretty much Olivia. Welcome to the Jaffe stream for December. I think it's the 9th, is it? It's the Monday. Welcome to the week. Hope you're doing well. Let me get rid of this here so we can see each other and see each other's beautiful visages. I would appreciate that. That makes me happy. Boom. There we go. Welcome to the show, fellas. It's nice to see everybody. Filettis, it's nice to see everybody. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you being here with me. We are going to talk about drones today. We are going to talk about the shooter today. The other things too. This is the show. It's anything goes. So I don't have anybody blocked. I don't have anybody banned. As long as you don't use hate speech, you can be as passionate as you want. We can do call-ins. In fact, let me put the call-in link right here so you guys are able. And I will let me take these off because as handsome and dashing as I look in them, I can't see shit in them. Copy link. I want to post this to the top of the YouTube chat. So if you're watching over on YouTube and you would like to call in and share your thoughts on all the things we're talking about today, well, you can do that. Isn't that fun? It's crazy. All right, hang on. Post it, pin it to the top. Shut up. Somebody said it's Stephanie Sterling. Shut up, you son of a bitch, Courtney Williams. Okay, you can't do hate speech. I didn't say you could do hate speech, but anyway. Reduce my volume. Ay. Okay, you fuckers. All right, there you go. That's the best I can do. I mean, I can probably do better, but let me know if it's too loud. I can reduce it here a little bit. All right, let's focus. Let's start the show. It's been weird because I got a brand... Nobody cares, Jaffe. Nobody cares. I'm going to tell you anyway. I got a brand new CPAP machine because I have the sleep apnea, right? Because I'm fat. And it's great. It's really powerful, which means I'm sleeping like a son of a bitch and I'm dreaming like a son of a bitch. And it's absolutely fantastic, but I'm waking up a little later than I would prefer. So I apologize about that. And, but let's focus. Let's do a little meditation, get into the show. What are you guys doing? What are you up to today? How's life? How's your mom doing? Huh? How's your mama doing? Shut up, Carlos. You know what? Here's what happened. Somebody's asking about the Ozempic. A couple people are asking. So I was on Ozempic, and what it did is it got me down to about 23 to 25 pounds. Okay. And it stuck me there. And I was like, okay, well, I like having lost 25 pounds, but nothing's really happening. And so I call the doc and I says, hey, doc, what's going on? And she says, okay, well, it may just be that that's what the Ozempic does when you don't change any behavior. If you would like to change behavior, then the Ozempic might be even more effective. And I'm like, oh, she says, but if you don't want to change your behavior, we can work with that. Guys, let me know if the audio is too loud. Addy Pie says it is, but I can never tell if he's trolling. So if it's too loud, I'll bring it down. But anyway, why don't you try Wegovy? Okay. So they put me on Wegovy, which is this, but they have to bring me all the way back down to the lowest milligrams. So now I'm kind of stuck until I get back, so it's kind of a pain, but what I like about her, unlike a lot of these docs that prescribe this stuff, is she's very measured and careful. She's like, yeah, we can change it, but you're not going to just suddenly jump to the milligram. We're going to make sure your body can take it and blah, blah, blah. So it's right now though, we're kind of in a holding pattern. So I'm still fat, which, I don't mind being fat. I just don't like the health risk and it's not comfortable. I'd like to have a little more energy in my life. Right. So, okay. Y'all's ears are going to give out in a few. I don't even know. I need an audio engineer help. Okay. So look, fellas, here we go. Let me see who called in. I'll bring this guy on in a second. It's Plazookas. Let me bring him on right now just to kick off the show because I'm kind of, I need a little juice, baby. It's the start of the week. Plazookas. Oh shit, you're loud too. Make my day, baby. What you got?
So I don't know if you've seen this interview with Glenn Beck, someone who used to be a prominent.
Yeah, he was
insider.
like a right wing. Glenn Beck was the right wing Fox guy. Then he got his own show. That guy.
Yeah, well, this is what happened to most of these Fox guys when they leave nowadays. But he had a recent interview with Anna Kasparian, which used to be or still is from the Young Turks.
Yes.
This is political, so if this is off limits, then let me
This
know.
show, no, the Jaffe stream is whatever. As long as it's interesting and the audience doesn't bail because they're bored, I'm in.
Right, and then I don't know if you've seen Jon Stewart, but Jon Stewart was basically saying that some of what Doge is going to do for the Department of Government Efficiency is actually what he's recommended for years,
Okay.
because he thinks the government should be more efficient. And then Bernie Sanders has said that Robert RFK, right?
Hmm.
Is that his name?
Yep.
That he's right about the food industry, about the FDA,
Sure.
about all these labels and stuff like that, right? So you're seeing this shift now. And like obviously, and we talked about Joe Scarborough and Mika and all these things, and
Hmm.
now there's some infighting with MSNBC, maybe with Rachel as well, because she's obviously a very much progressive leftist.
Yes.
Um, what's your thoughts on all of this? Like we're seeing now people fall in line, people that are progressive. Jon Stewart's pretty progressive. Bernie is
Well,
exceptionally
I can
progressive.
speak to the Bernie thing, but what are you saying Jon Stewart is saying? That's because
Jon Stewart's saying that the Department of Government Efficiency, he's going to give him a chance. He's going to be like, maybe it's not as radical as we all think it is, and that maybe we should just take a step back and see what happens.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me the Bernie thing. I mean, I think if you're going to look to where a lot of the hey, we need to change the food industry, that's not a right wing talking point. That began, especially in the popular culture and the zeitgeist, at least modern days, with movies like Food Inc. And I think it was called Fork and Knife or something like that. All these kind of very progressive documentaries about the the agriculture industry and the farming industry as it relates to sort of meat and how we grow our meat and treat animals. And so yeah, I think everybody has for a long time on the left been saying our food is shit and it's terrible for us. But so that's no surprise. The issue is, and it's not even an issue really, is that RFK can say some great things, and he has. I've watched some of his speeches when he was running for president, and I'm like, that's smart, that's good, that's good. And then he says some crazy shit, but they all say crazy shit. But the difference, though, is that sure, if he's going to be able to actually go in, and he has no authority just because he wants to do that's the thing, like with this government efficiency program, they still have to run it all through the legislation, right? So you can stand up there as Musk or Ramaswamy and say, we're going to do this. He's like, you're not going to do shit unless the people who are in the pockets of the lobbyists that control the country allow you to do that shit, right? And get you the votes to do the shit you say you want to do. So yeah, I think we can all agree we have too much crap in our food. It should be better labeled. I think the FDA is a very necessary, wonderful organization, but I also think like anything else, it's corruptible and we should figure out if there's a way to make it a better system. But again, what we need is a department of pulling money out of the government so they can actually represent the people. Until that happens, it's all just talk, I think. I mean, we've already seen that happen. We've seen that happen with Matt Gaetz, right? We've seen that happen with who's the other person that Trump was trying to push up as some kind of big deal, and then a lot of his Republican people are like, yeah, we're not doing that. Right. Fundamentally, a lot of these things are going to have to go through the proper channels, as they should in a democracy, in a republic. And that's where the rubber is going to meet the road on the good and the bad ideas that these guys are proposing.
Right. I agree with you. I'm not optimistic that that's going to be a hurdle in this particular administration, because I've already seen the headwinds here. If all these people fall in line or give Trump a chance, which, admittedly, he's going to be the next president of the United States, what are we going to do, right? You got to give the guy a chance to hopefully do the right thing at the end of the day, when all things are on the table.
Kind of. You don't really
right.
have to. I mean, you've got everybody, even in the Republican Party, waiting in the wings, are going, is this guy going to be the real deal, or am I going to be running in 4 years because, what's the guy's name? JD Vance doesn't have a chance in hell. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that
no, I don't think he has a chance of any political
even
future
today, Mitch McConnell got a standing ovation. He gave a speech where there was a swipe at Trump, and he's not giving a speech to Democrats. He's giving it to Republicans.
And he got a standing ovation, Mitch McConnell, which you never thought would ever happen.
Only because when he died, it's like Mitch McConnell's dead and everybody stands up.
You got Dick Cheney being applauded by the Democrats during the election.
Right.
Like, this shit is weird, right?
It's very, very weird.
Right.
in a good and bad way. But the point though is that I don't know just because he's president they're going to give him a chance. But sure, I mean they've already pushed back on things like Matt Gaetz. They've already pushed back on like 2 or 3 things that he's promised the electorate, and then the legislation is like, yeah, I don't know, we're not doing that, right? So, but we'll see. All I can say
Okay.
is, I'm an optimistic guy. I think Trump's a piece of shit, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, and just 2 last comments.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of your stream with your son, which
Yes.
I've never been introduced to, but I know it's been something that you've talked about on your channel.
Yeah.
And I want to just say that, from someone that deals with personal stuff, as we all do, like when things just happen in our lives and we start getting educated and stuff like that, I think it was a very healthy, informative discussion for everybody on your
Cool.
channel and your platform. And then, pertaining to your health, man,
Well, one moment. Let me speak to that. So, I mean, that really is. I think it's not my son Calvin's job to do it. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he comes on the stream whenever he wants to come on the stream. But I really do think, I mean, honestly, as the most progressive guy, Plazookas, I would tell you that I didn't even meet a trans person that was open that I knew was trans until it's been less than 10 years, and I've lived in California, the most progressive state, well, except Vermont maybe, but whatever, for, 20 years, 20 plus years. Right. And so if that's me, I absolutely can understand a lot of the country that's only getting their view of trans folks from just really god awful takes on the issue from people who have agendas. I really hope, and it's not the trans community's job to go out of their way to go, hey, we're likable, we're normal. That's not their job. But I certainly wouldn't complain if someone did, because a lot of people really paint these folks as monsters. And all you have to do is spend 5 minutes, 2 minutes with my son.
Yeah.
And go, he's a cool fucking dude. What do you want?
Your son did not want any part of this. Like, he was just here having a general, conversation, being a kid, as
he
all
wants
of
to
these
play
people are. They're
Fortnite and
human.
fuck around with his friends and smoke
Yeah.
some pot and have a good time. He doesn't care about any of this shit. Just don't, leave him alone. Don't harass him and his friends when they go out, because they might look a little different than you do. That's all he cares
I
about.
think that's been the issue as well. Like, the whole entire shift, the over exaggeration of all of these political movements and stuff like that have really put a target on people that normally wouldn't even have a big of a target as they do. And it's unfortunate because every time this happens, whether it's African Americans, whether it's gay people, whether it's trans people, it's always happened. And yet we've never actually dealt with the causes, in which is just treat people fairly, which is
we should be smart enough when it comes to racism, and when it comes to prejudice, and when it comes to technology, to go, like, when are we going to get to the point where we go, oh yeah, this is what we do. This is our shtick. This is humans' pattern right now. Okay, when something really cool and new comes along, but it's scary in tech, a lot of us hate it. But it usually works out, better than it would have been. But sure, there's always going to be some problems with it. When someone gets othered in society, more often than not, they're probably just a normal person trying to live a good life, and they're being used as political football. It's bullshit. When are we going to go, oh, that's what we do, they're doing it to us again, let's not do that this time? Hopefully soon, but we'll see. About my health, yes, go.
Yeah, I know you're having a battle with Ozempic and weight loss and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say it's a battle, but continue.
Okay. Oh, well, obviously you're going to accept yourself for who you are, and that's fantastic, and you should, because that's the part of it. That's the part that I wanted to talk about. It's just like, don't ever doubt yourself. Always, like, I smoked for, not that this has anything to do with weight, but it has something to do with addiction. And just overcoming things. I started smoking when I was 12. I didn't stop until I was 35.
Smoking pot or cigarettes?
Cigarettes, right.
Okay.
All right, right. And I didn't stop until I was 35. And it took me every day for almost 7 years to tell myself I'm going to stop. And I did, periodically throughout that time. But it was that one day, out of all those days, out of 1,000 days, that one day I finally did it. And obviously your battle's a little harder because it's weight loss, and it's gonna create, I have to do it cumulatively over a course of years, potentially, if you can do it healthily. But you can do it if you want to, but don't ever doubt yourself.
I mean, I've lost weight, quote, the normal way before. Like, I lost tons of weight. And the reason I haven't really done what a lot of people in the chat suggest, like, just go exercise, is because my relationship with it was I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I reduced calorie intake, I exercised, I gave myself 3 or 4 cheat meals a week so it wouldn't be unsustainable. But fundamentally, it became unsustainable. It was all I thought about. All I thought about was losing weight and when can I eat next? And I was like, I don't want to live like this. This is miserable.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm always on the lookout for something, but I don't worry about it all that much. But I would love to be healthier and I would love to have more energy. That would be fantastic.
And this may sound parasocial, and it
Yeah.
may be parasocial, even though
Yeah,
I do
probably.
not. I don't have a parasocial relationship with my content creators that I watch
Mhm,
ultimately.
mhm.
But you look
Although
the
you
best
call
you've
them
ever.
you call them my content creators. So I would say
Well,
perhaps
I
you do.
have people that I watch,
Mhm,
right?
and they're yours.
Well, they're
You put
not.
them in little sleeves
No,
at the end of the day and put them in like a little collector's bin. I understand. Continue though.
sure. You look the best you've ever looked in a very long time. So
Thank you. I'm
keep
not
it up.
gonna fuck you, but thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All
Bye.
right, buddy. Thanks, Blazookas. There he goes, fellas, into the evening. All right. Let's talk about some stuff, shall we? Let's get into it. This is the guy they're saying. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Some of you guys are more up on this because you alerted me to it. I think they have found a suspect. They're not saying he is officially the guy that did it, but the police have found him. This is the headline, or this is some of the writing from the headline on the New York Post. Take that with what you will, but it's being reported everywhere. But this was the first to get it that I saw. The suspect nabbed in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's an anti-capitalist, yay, Ivy League grad who liked online quotes from Unabomber Ted Kaczynski and seethed in a manifesto, quote, "These parasites had it coming," law enforcement sources told the Post. 26-year-old kid from shit, what does MD stand for? Isn't that terrible? What state is MD? Maryland? Apparently hated the medical community because of how it treated his sick relative. Hey, absolutely. Guy's name is Luigi Mangione or Mangione, I don't know. And he's been taken into custody. And what else is this guy saying? He's been known on his site to quote AOC. He also quotes Joe Rogan, Sam Altman, Ed Snowden. So he's kind of like anybody in in America, certainly under 30. Those are sort of a lot of the people that are controlling the zeitgeist conversation. He Chud Nugget says the dude was this is what Chud Nugget sent me. Hang on, let me find it. There it is. Here was his Twitter. He was saying, read this: Christianity's decline has unleashed terrible new gods. So he doesn't like atheism. He doesn't like Richard Dawkins. He says, new atheism assumed that as people abandoned Christianity, they would embrace a sort of enlightenment, secular position. The death of Christian Scotland shows this was wrong. Faith there has been replaced by derangement, which is subjective, and the birthplace of Scottish Enlightenment, which rose out of Christian principle, now worships intolerant new gods. I don't fucking know. I mean, I'm 50, whatever the fuck I am, and I don't fucking know anything about what people need when it comes to faith, if they need it at all. So this 26-year-old kid, I don't fucking know what he knows either. But, he had a lot of opinions. Good for him. People in the chat are obviously talking about why are people celebrating this guy? Why? Come on, we're not going to get. I mean, do we need to get into that again? I mean, because the guy who got killed was a greedy fuck who perpetuated and continued to perpetuate a system that caused great suffering on millions of people and death on probably at least 100,000 people because of his greed. So I'm sorry, but it's not that anybody is celebrating vigilante justice, but sometimes when that's all you've got and that's all they've left us with in this country, you find your heroes where you can find them, or you take your heroes where you can find them. Jay says, so that makes it okay to murder someone. No, it's not okay to murder someone at all. But it's also, what are you going to do? You're not giving anybody options. You can claim you have options, but they never work. They only work for a select, very wealthy few. So what do you want this guy to do? Come on, man. I mean, you can sit there and we can have a debate. I mean, I'm not saying the guy should get off scot-free. He shouldn't get off at all. If they find him and he's guilty, there's a fucking penalty, and I'm sure he's willing to pay the penalty. and if he's not, too bad. He was caught. But fundamentally, we have a system that is designed to not represent the people, and there's nothing we can do about it except, be violent if they're not going to give us nonviolent ways to solve it. So sorry. It's the way it is. I'm not condoning, you guys. I'm sorry if you can't see the nuance of what I'm saying. I'm not condoning murder. I'm saying sometimes that's all that you're left with. Okay, that's all that you're left with. Fuzzy says there's no way you can quantify the damage the CEO did in terms of 100,000 plus people. Sure, I can. I absolutely can guarantee you it wouldn't take AI very long to go from when he started as CEO to when he stopped as CEO. Look at the number of claims that were denied and look at the denials of those claims that ultimately within, say, 12 months led to death of the patient because of the things that were denied that were said to have been able to prolong the life of that patient. I think you could find that data very, very quickly. But sure. And again, that you're talking about the healthcare system, United Healthcare, which is the number one denier in all the insurance companies. The average denial rate is, I think, 16%. These guys were 34%. Okay. It's a business for these guys. It's a profit-making deal for these guys. What do you want? MTO says he's a coward for how he killed the guy. I had more respect if he confronted him head up and duked it out. Well, I don't care. I mean, again, that wasn't the goal. I was just going to tell you guys that they seem to have caught the guy. I'm not going to convince you. You're not going to convince me. I'm sorry. It's this is, in my opinion, one of the things that is probably going to bring about some massive change in this country, good, bad, or other. And, MTO says, so be a man. He's a coward, David. Sorry. I don't care if you think he's a coward. What great. He also killed someone that I think is evil. Do I think he should have broken the law? I would have preferred him not. But you know what I would have preferred more? I would have preferred a system that actually did what it said it was going to do. And I would have preferred a republic that actually represents the people. But sure, whatever. We don't have to agree. What do I care? Okay. Brett Moore says, I deal with all the healthcare shit with my mom. She's been on SSDI since she was 28. It's a frustrating mess. Right. Yeah. They're not interested, in helping you out, even though you pay them money. Okay. Anyway, whatever. I mean, we can talk about it if you guys want, but I mean, you got something. Rob the mod sent me this, though. Let's go back to RFK real quick. We're going to get off politics and get on drones, which might be the same thing. This to me is one of those memes that's just perfect, which is if you're listening and not looking, there's a scientist at the top that says vaccine research. And then there's a lady on the toilet looking at her phone that says anti-vax research. I'm not saying that vaccine research isn't always or is always funded by moral folks. I'm not saying doctors can't be greedy and corruptible. Of course they can. They're people like anyone else. But the fact of the matter is, I still would hitch my wagon to science and smart people over people. I mean, I don't even understand that, frankly. I don't even understand how I can absolutely 100% understand how you can say, I don't always trust the medical establishment or the establishment at all because they're greedy and they are looking out for themselves. Okay. I get that. I think even though I don't agree with you as much as you do about taking that stance on everything, I get that. I think there's logic there. But what's weird to me is what you don't get is the same people or the same motivation exists for the people pushing in the opposite way. Right? They're just as greedy, looking for their clicks and looking for their Patreon payments and looking for their ad buys for their podcast or wherever they come from. So both sides of this are guilty of exploiting people for profit. The only difference is most of the people that are actually doing the work and on the front lines of the vaccine research or any kind of research are actually there because they want to be scientists and they're smart and they're educated. And it doesn't mean they're not corruptible, and it doesn't mean they don't work for companies that are corruptible. But it does mean that if you're going to have to pick one side and you have total proof that both sides are corrupt, I'd rather go with the side of the people that are at least smart. Because when that stuff, here's what I know: we're not dying for the most part from COVID anymore. So you can say the vaccine was a horseshit maneuver, but I'm not wearing a mask anymore, and you probably aren't either. That's the funniest part about the whole vaccine thing. We're still here. We're working again. We're not killing each other by standing 6 feet from each other. Seems like the vaccine did its job. Realism says they created the virus. They very well may have. Or China may have. I don't necessarily think they created the virus with the intention of letting it out so they could give away a free vaccine and crash the economy. But do I think they may have created it for some sort of biological warfare in China or America and it got out? Yeah. If somebody said, out of all the things that could have occurred, here are the top three, I'd say, yeah, that probably is in the top three easily. There's, I don't know, but in terms of what probably happened or what is more likely to happen, sure. But one thing doesn't negate the other in this case. Morbius says, yes, President Trump's vaccines saved millions. I don't care who made them. Trust me, Joe Biden or Donald Trump weren't sitting there coming up with the vaccine. But whoever takes credit for it, take credit for it. I don't care. The fact is people aren't dying. And yeah, I knew about 3 people who died of COVID. And so it wasn't some bullshit thing, which is crazy that people think that. But anyway, whatever. How many boosters did I take? I've taken them all. The other day, about 6 months ago, I went to Rite Aid and I got the new COVID shot. I think it was the new COVID shot or a booster. I got my second shingle shot and the flu shot. And before that, I took whatever COVID shot they offered and whatever booster I needed. And I had, not only have I not gotten COVID, I have not been sick since probably 4 months before the pandemic. I have not been sick since 2020 or probably 2019. So, which doesn't mean that was promised, but something's going on. Shit, you know how much crap you put in your fucking body every fucking day, and you're going to act like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, my God, it's probably more danger drinking this fucking Mountain Dew with its aspartame and its weird. You see, the FDA is pushing to ban the color red, or at least a specific color red in sweets, because apparently it's really dangerous. And they're finally stepping up and going, guys, we've been telling you about this fucking red dye. We got to get rid of this shit. Kids are going nuts for it forever. And it's making people sick as fuck. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right. Fauci funded the lab it came from, says Jay. They purposely created the virus, then tested a vaccine. Okay, Jay, you've written a little movie there, buddy. Did Fauci fund the lab like he's a trillionaire? No, but did he have something to do behind the scenes with the lab? Quite possibly, if not definitely. And guess what? Maybe that happened. Maybe they built the vaccine and maybe it escaped. But the idea that then they intentionally released it and tested it on people. So what you're saying is you create a virus. Let's just walk this through briefly. You create a virus, and then for some reason you're going to create a vaccine that you don't really benefit from in terms of, he didn't work for Pfizer or anything, but the vaccine was, a lot of money was made by the pharmaceutical companies, but not from us. It was from the government, from our taxpayer. So if the only goal was to test the vaccine, then fucking do a test and see if it works. But to what end would they want to test the vaccine on potentially billions of people across the globe? Okay, let's say all of what you're saying is right. To what end? What were they trying to achieve other than crashing the economy? I don't understand. Kids used to say the yellow and MD would make you sterile. Mountain Dew could be. Although no, because I drank Mountain Dew as a kid and I had tons of babies all over the world. Anyway, I mean, again, I'm Jaffe. Have you read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci? If the stuff in the book was a lie, then the author would have been sued. Again, I'm asking you if you've read the book, and no, I haven't read the book. But why would they do what this guy is suggesting Fauci did, which is he funds a lab. He's got all this power. He funds a lab and money, apparently. He makes this awful biological weapon. He releases it in China, I guess. Fine, by the way. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm not like, that's crazy. No, sure. Okay, let it go. Let it happen. And then, again, to what end? You're not really giving me an answer. What does the Real Anthony Fauci book say? Why would he do that? Like, what was he trying to do? The idea that he just was curious about, hey, I want to see if I can run a vaccine program. What? Jay says, no, you misunderstood. They purposely made the virus. That I don't think has been proven, but it's probably true. Not saying it was purposely released. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, of course, they're probably making that shit all the time. They're how many biological weapons do they have? This one got out. Yeah. I don't think most people would be surprised if it turned out it was a created virus. At all. Thinking the world elites wants our best is kind of utopic, says Ludo. I don't think they want what's best for us. I certainly don't think that. But I mean, you had a lot of wealthy, rich people dying of COVID as well. It's but again, take it, don't take it. I mean, this is the difference. People act like, again, this has been politicized, and it's like, look, if maybe what they should have done is said, hey, if you don't want to take the COVID shot, you're not going to be forced to take the COVID shot, and businesses will stay open, but it will be illegal until this gets under control to fire someone for not working in the office, right? Something like that. Because the only reason people on the left, and a lot of people on the left, I don't think it's true that people on the left have more money than people on the right, but I think in the argument that we were seeing, you had a lot of people who were like pissed because understandably, they're like, I need my fucking job. I can't not go to work. They're going to fire me because, whatever. I get it. But they should have said, okay, that's fine. If you guys want to go to work, go to work. But the people who feel that they want to stay inside, we're not going to allow any company. It's going to be illegal to fire those people. And then you guys can go out there and do herd mentality or take, the horse ectomectin, whatever the fuck it was called. Or maybe it's all a hoax, whatever. But until this gets under control, the guy who works for UPS that delivers packages, sorry, FedEx, you got to find something else for him to do because you can't fire him because he's not going to come in. I mean, it probably wouldn't have done as much damage, but maybe they should have done something a little bit more like that. But then again, this is something that's once every 100 years. I don't think people were prepared for this, and hell, we had two different political parties that were running the show at the time. You think one of them would have figured out something good. The only thing we know is right now we're not dying from COVID anymore, which is good. Jaffe, why threaten to remove their job if they don't take the shot? Wait, what? Hang on, let me read that. Jaffe says, Ludo, why threaten people to remove their job if they don't take the shot? It was the case in France. Right, and that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily think, I think there was a better way to handle it. I think they should have said, hey, the science is telling us that this stuff is it's very contagious. And if you're worried about that, we agree. You should be worried about that. But there are people out there that don't agree. And we, at least in America, don't feel it's very constitutional to say you must take this medicine or you will lose your job. So let's flip it. And let's say, okay, if you basically don't want to go out, you're not going to lose your job. But yeah, go out. Shop, sell things, deliver things, whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't think it was handled the right way. But I mean, Jesus, people were there were fucking mobile crematoriums rolling through Wuhan. before we even knew it was a problem. We talked about that, by the way. Long-term viewers know. You can go back to I Love the Weird. We're like, what the fuck's going on with mobile crematoriums? This is the craziest shit. Well, that was the beginning of it in China. People didn't know how to respond. Why would they? Okay. No, we're not going to talk games. Gaming is gabbing and games. That's this afternoon. This is called the Jaffe stream. Eventually people will get it. If you come here, it's not games for the Jaffe stream. It's anything. I mean, we can talk games if it's a good content, but this is anything and everything goes that people want to talk about. Okay. And then we got this guy in the chat. I'll just say I don't know. World-renowned GeoHound says, sorry, Chad, I know the lab leak theory is everyone's favorite answer on social media, but the evidence is abundantly clear. It was not a lab leak. Okay, cool. I don't know. We'll probably never know the truth. So, talk about Rockstar. You mean this will be on Gabbin' and Games later today, but I think what you're saying is, I guess, Rockstar Games are the guys who said we need to tone down some of the cruelty in our writing for the new GTA. Is that what you mean? We'll talk about that later today. Ghetto Guide says, Jaffe, they were saying if you took the vax, you couldn't get COVID, which was a lie. They didn't lie. They didn't know at the time. They told us if you get the vax, you can't spread it. Lie. Guys, this is what science is. They were doing the best they could trying to hit a moving target. And ultimately, they hit the target enough that, again, I mean, what would be great is whether you think Fauci totally released this because he's a real world version of Dr. Doom, or he's just a moron, or whether Biden shat the bed, how he handled it, or Trump shat the bed, how he handled it, or Trump lied, or whatever. Whatever take. The one thing we know is there was a virus. It was killing many, many people, making many, many people sick. They're still suffering from it today. And now, because science was able to find something to work, we no longer have that, right? I mean, we can at least agree on that, right? I mean, what's Jesus? I mean, my God. You can't, not most people walking the planet are not comic book villains. Even people on the right, by the way, some of them are, and some of them on the left you may see, but most people are not that. That's not the world in which we live. I think we'd be a lot better off if people realized that more often and stopped actually having thoughts that feel like they have more at home in a Marvel comic than an actual real life scenario, is what I would say. Anyway, let me bring on, we're going to move on from this topic. We'll talk about Jay-Z in a second. In fact, if this is the real P Turtle, I'm not going to keep him on for long because he's hit or miss, but, I'll bring him on for a few minutes and I want to see what he thinks about the Jay-Z accusations. P Turtle, it's Jaffe. What's up?
What's up, Jaffe? Can you hear me?
Yes. Let me take this off the screen.
I'm hit and miss. I always hit.
Okay. Hang on though, big boy. 1 second. Why can't this is what we need there. There we go. All right, Pete Turtle, what do you want to talk about, buddy? What do you hear about this? Jay-Z accusation that he diddled a 13-year-old when he was hanging out with
yeah, it's a civil lawsuit, right?
I don't know if it's a civil lawsuit. It might be. I haven't looked into it.
It is, but I was actually calling to talk about the vax thing, but we could talk about Jay-Z. I mean, we already know he's in cahoots with Biden and Kamala.
What's that?
I do find it weird that all this stuff came out as soon as Kamala loses. It might be in connection with what's his name, Beyonce, who only spoke for 2 minutes instead of performing. They might feel slighted by the Carter family. So maybe, they're all being thrown to the wolves. All these people that were connected to the DNC are going down, and I'm happy to see it.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about then? What's on your?
Well, I was just gonna bring up some stuff that was weird about. Well, I had like 100 things to talk about. I wanted to talk about.
You don't have that time. You don't have that kind of time.
So okay, fair enough. But what is
at the very top of your list that is animating your body today to move about?
Okay, before I say that, can I say this?
Yeah. Oh,
are you doing a show?
Hang on. Wait. We got an echo. 1 second. Let me get the echo taken care of. One moment. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. All right, this should be better. Sorry about the echo, fellas. All right, go.
Are you doing a show later on?
Yeah, I'm doing a Gavin and Games, which is all
Would
about.
I be able to call there to talk about Indiana Jones?
Sure.
Okay, because I have a lot to say about that. I have a lot to say
How
about
much have you
that and the
played?
GTA thing.
How much have you played about of Indiana Jones?
About 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, okay. You got to the part where they burn the bodies yet? Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna say this real quick since I'm calling in later regarding the vaccine stuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on during that time, and it wasn't just that they didn't know. They made up a bunch of things. In the beginning, it was masks don't work, and then it was masks do work, and you need to wear them. And which they admitted to lying about. They knew that from the very beginning. You have the whole gain of function.
Certain you cannot show me where someone admitted to lying that we knew.
I believe it was on CNN where they spoke to Fauci, and he admitted that in order for them to get enough to make sure that the people, medical care people, needed to get masks, that they lied to the public originally so that the people who needed the mask, they felt needed the mask, would be able to get those masks. You have people like Cuomo who killed a bunch of old people by putting them in an
okay, so you're saying two different things.
The whole thing was horrible.
Well, wait a minute though. I mean,
can I just say my number one thing though?
No, wait a minute. You can't just drop a lie and then walk away. Because did someone lie? And it sounds like you have the facts. I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said we are consciously lying about what we know about the mask because we need the people that really need the mask to actually have them so they can treat people who are sick. I would say that's a shitty thing to do, but that's
you can read between the lines.
Wait a minute. But that's a different thing than saying they lied about the science that masks don't help.
They didn't come out and say, I lied. They said this was the reason why we said it, which means they lied. I believe it was Fauci said it on CNN. Who knows if they scrubbed it? You can probably research it. But anyway, the number one thing that should tell you,
I'm not the one offering the accusation. Why would I probably research it? Why don't you fucking offer me a link?
Already. Listen, I know the truth. You don't. You're the one that needs to know these things.
I love that. I didn't realize that proving that you know the truth is as simple as saying I know the truth. But anyway, continue. What do you want to talk about?
So, as you know, I lived in New York. I witnessed all this corrupt stuff going on, right?
Okay.
The number one thing that should have shown you that the pandemic was bullshit and these numbers were inflated. I don't even know if the virus did exist. If it did, sure. But I'm just saying, the number one thing is when at the height of the pandemic, they allowed all these, I'm not going to be racist. I know I'm already on thin ice, but I'm not going to be racist. But they allowed a bunch of black people to go out and protest during the George Floyd riots.
They didn't allow. That's a First Amendment right. They didn't allow it.
Well, guess what? It shouldn't be legal when you're on lockdown or where you're not supposed to gather in huge hordes. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but come on. But wait a minute. Wait a second though. Well, you can't just drop things that are really loaded and then act as if I'm being a pain in your ass by asking you some questions about some things that are really loaded.
Okay, but you have to understand on my side, I can only speak for like 2 seconds. I can't get a full thought out and I have to stop every second while, I'm also on the clock. I might get kicked out any second. So it's just tough. Okay. But go ahead. It's your show.
I mean, it is called a conversation. It's called a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's not called a soliloquy. I mean, you're bringing something up. And I'm going to ask about it, which is, okay, so in the case of protest, whatever you're protesting,
George Floyd,
not enough copies of Final Fantasy being out there or George Floyd, whatever you're protesting, there's a First Amendment right to protest. My assumption would be that if there was also a government like, hey, we can't have big events, says the governor, because it's a health issue. Probably at some point they were like, well, what wins out? The fact that the government has made this statement or people's First Amendment rights? And I'm assuming they said, well, I guess they're First Amendment rights. But I mean, I don't know. And it doesn't sound like you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, you had anti-vax protesters being arrested. They were being demonized on the news.
Okay, well, those two different things you just said. If you're saying, well, what do you mean? You words, and you're saying things like, okay, so, and here's what happens is, and I don't know how much of this is a tactic for you, but if you say two things together and you don't allow someone to go, wait, you're saying two very different things, those two things get marbled in certain people's minds, and they go, "Well, CP Turtle was right." And
Okay,
maybe
can I just say why I do that?
wait. Maybe you are right, but
Mm.
if you're basically saying that they're shutting down anti-vax protests, but they're not shutting down George Floyd protest, I would say that would be terribly illegal, and people have a really big First Amendment lawsuit.
Not only did they not shut it down,
but
they
wait, but that's
encouraged the
okay,
George Floyd.
fine. That's different, though, than you saying that all First Amendment rights were basically being shut down. Like if you're saying the government was selective about who could protest, that's
They
horrible.
were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
and let's not forget, Nancy Pelosi was upset that Trump was shut down people coming from China. They were calling him xenophobic, right?
No,
Like
I think
it's all this
would be
leftist
wrong.
stuff. It's all it was all because of the election. And if you look at hospitals were saying people were dying due to COVID because they were getting more money due to insurance policies. If you look at this is all the fact. You can look this up. I mean, listen, I don't know if you want to believe it or not, but remember what's his name?
Okay, listen, stop for a minute. It's not that I don't want to believe it or not believe it. You know how cynical I am. I would not put it past any body on this planet, certainly working in billion-dollar corporations, to do any and all the things that you said.
Yeah, and you can't even sue them. It's like, oh yeah, you have to take this vaccine. You lose your livelihood, and guess what? If anything goes wrong with this experimental vaccine, you can't sue us.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying though is you have to agree with this. I know you like the character that you play, okay? But you have to agree with me that if you really are a truth warrior, if you are in the pursuit of truth, you have to give me the win to suggest that none of us really have the skinny on this shit, because both
no. I don't think anybody
both sides are financially
sure.
incentivized to tell their narrative. Correct?
I think you're right about that. But what I'm saying is I think there's enough evidence on my side to see that this was bullshit. The encouragement of the protests, the insurance policies with the hospitals, just the politicians saying you can't go out, like what's his name, the California governor, Newsom. But being caught going out partying, they were partying while we were locked up.
I understand, but that's
Mayor de Blasio dancing with his wife on New
wait
Year's
a
Eve
minute,
while
but
nobody was allowed on Times Square.
Okay, but wait. See, this is, if you really want to get to the bottom and you want to be about the truth, you can call, as you should, Gavin Newsom out for being a hypocrite. But what you can't necessarily do is, just because he was a hypocrite doesn't mean what he was telling other people was wrong. It's kind of like saying, yeah, you should recycle, but it's a pain in the ass for me to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But it doesn't mean it's wrong to say you should recycle.
If you look up, fair enough. If you look up the rates of the flu during that period, almost nobody got the flu. The flu just all of a sudden went away.
Okay, well let's actually do that.
It's all bullshit, and I'm getting angry right now. Go ahead.
Hang on. Let's look it up. Did the flu rate drop? And probably because people were vaccinated.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I haven't gotten sick since I took the vaccine, but anyway, let's say
I haven't gotten sick, and I didn't take the vaccine. I'm not even joking. I haven't gotten sick in two or 3 years.
Okay, hang on.
And you probably don't get sick because you don't leave your house.
Yeah, but I have a lot of people coming into my house. Okay. Mask wearing, social distancing, and other steps to stop COVID have also curtailed influenza.
They also admitted that social distancing was a made-up number. They just made that up out of their budget.
Wait. See, this is what you do. You're moving on. I'm trying to.
Okay, I'm just saying. I heard that
I'm
word.
I'm trying to fact check you, which is, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm going, okay.
No, I know I'm not wrong.
Did the flu drop during COVID? And the answer looks like it was yes. Okay. So what do you think was more probable? Do you think because of all the precautions people were taking, which is social distancing, mask wearing, and other things that they did, which I can give you a list of, was that what curtailed the flu? Or was it the fact that you're saying the flu was bullshit? It doesn't exist. I mean, what?
No, I'm saying that the flu and COVID were damn near the same thing. So if the COVID rates were going up, the flu rate should have been going up. If the flu rates went down, then the COVID rate should have gone down, because you can only contact it the same way, right?
No.
You just got schooled. I just took you to the cleaners.
You get schooled at the cleaners?
Well, it's two different things.
This is starting to make sense. You were educated at the cleaners. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, let me ask you. Let's change topics because we're not going to agree on this. And
But you
if
don't have to. But everything I
fine.
just said was. Can I say the last thing about this?
Sure.
RFK Jr. came out and they blocked a lot of this and they scrubbed it from the internet. Again, I'm not racist, so don't get upset at me. But he did say that the vaccine was made to not harm. Not that it was not made for this purpose, but that he did say Ashkenazi Jews were pretty much safe from getting COVID or dying from COVID.
But that's only because that the Jews have put up with enough shit. Give them a break.
I'm just saying,
even
the
Chinese who invented the fucking virus said, look, the only way we make money at our restaurants on Christmas Day is the Jews. So fuck it. We can't kill them. We need them to fucking eat here on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And that's not great. Look, hang on. I'll show you this article. People think I'm making a joke when I say that. Jews, Chinese restaurants. I mean, it's an actual thing that lots of Jews eat out on Christmas Day and at the Chinese restaurants because they're the only ones that are open.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyway, okay. Well, here's what I'll tell you. If you're actually interested in the truth, I really think it's so fucking important. If that's really your goal, can I ask you something, Jaffe? Can I lie about anything? Can I finish? Can we put if your real goal is some truth, and that's my goal, is I think you really have to stop lockstep believing both sides. And you have to go, look, people have vested interest everywhere. Sometimes things are true. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes things can be made.
But can I say this? A lot of people on the right.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that today. A lot of people on the right were a part of that official narrative. Fox News was a part of that narrative. The Daily Wire was a part of that narrative. There wasn't a lot of people on the right saying that were anti-vax.
Okay.
There were. So
listen,
again,
I'm going to put you on hold.
You need to be worried.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold for a second because I don't want an echo, and I'll be back with you.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So you can finish your thought. I'll be right back. Here's what I want to show you guys. I know I talk about this all the time, but I just love it that fucking much. This is ground news. This is ground news for today. Just if you're curious, they do a lot of great stuff. One of the things is they say this is what the left is not covering. This is what the right is not covering. Okay, just so you know, today the right only covered. No center news and no left news covered. Biden's Health and Human Services celebrates pansexual and pan-romantic Pride Day. Okay, well, the right clearly doesn't like that, but that's fine. On the left covered, but the right didn't. Mitch McConnell gets a standing ovation after speech with indirect swipe at Trump. And New Jersey becomes the latest state to prohibit bans on books in school, public spaces, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's more, of course, but all I'm saying to you is be aware that both sides have an agenda. Both sides have a vested financial interest in making you think a certain way, making you feel good. The best thing in the world is for someone to parrot back to you what you already think, especially if they've got lights and theme music and they look good in HD. You feel like a rock star when somebody on the TV show says, I think what they think and they think what I think. It's a propaganda manipulation tool. Both sides use it. And I really think we all owe it to, if we say we're patriots and we owe it to this country and to this world, to start recognizing that we're being all played and we should basically not be played anymore. Okay, let's bring Pete Turtle back on and then we'll move on to the drones. All right, Pete Turtle, wrap it up with your, what was the final thing you wanted to talk about?
Oh, no, that's it. I was going to call in later, I guess, for the Indiana Jones talk.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in the afternoon show.
All right, man. Later, man.
See you, Pete Turtle. All right, there he goes. Okay, let's talk about these drones briefly. Well, okay. Well, I do want to let you know before we get to that 30,000 pounds of this substance melted on a Bay Area highway when a truck crashed. That's what happened over the weekend. I'll tell you what this was in a minute, but I want to tell you this first. There's a lot of weird shit that spills on the freeway. I don't know if you know this. Listen to this. In 2000, there was a great smell until it baked in the hot sun for a while. August 2022, Jars of Alfredo sauce crashed into the median and sent the white creamy pasta all over a Memphis highway. There have been tomatoes, potatoes, beer. Beer is a common highway spill. In 2022 September, there were 4 semi-trucks that left hundreds of cases of Coors Light on the road. In March 2019, a truck fell down an embankment of Interstate 10 and sent cases of Modelo Especial rolling across the road. But here's the one that happened just this weekend. 30,000, yeah, Zeke says, Mamma mia, 30,000 pounds of chocolate on a Bay Area highway this weekend. Big Rig was oozing with melted chocolate in the East Bay. The fire happened at 6:18. I'll show it to you. You can't smell it, unfortunately. I wish this had smell. I assume it smelled pretty good. The truck blew up or caught on fire, spread to the tires, the rest of the truck. 30 to 40,000 pounds of chocolate were in the trailer. All of it melted. Loads of chocolate oozing out of the truck onto the road. Let's see. It says there's a photo posted here. I want to see it, though, baby. I want to see the chocolate. Is this it? Is this the photo? I mean, maybe there. I don't know. I'd like to see the fucking chocolate, you son of a bitch. Don't fucking tease me. Maybe it's that little brown patch. I don't fucking know. It's called Highway Fondue. That's right. Yeah, they were delivering it, says Blackjack to Willy Wonka. I mean, it's fucking awesome. Fuck, I would have gone out there and scoot. I don't know if I would have scooted. Why aren't they ever carrying money? What about a Brinks truck? Do Brinks trucks ever crash and crack open? And I don't know. Let's talk about the drones, though. Look, okay, I'm going to give you some thoughts, some theories. Well, first, by the way, have you guys seen this guy? I don't understand this at all. We'll get to the drones. I promise we're going to get to the drones. Kevin says, looks like an Oompa Loompa needs his driving license revoked. That's right. Have you guys been seeing this on Twitter? This guy's paying for an ad. It's Dark Joseph Ravine. And all it is it's this dorky looking dude smiling at the camera. And he's like, parties are so much fun, aren't they? Do you guys like parties or fun events? Why or why not? What? And that's it. And then you can go to his thing. He's got like 140,000 followers and he just doesn't really. What is this? Is he like a rich dude who's just paying for ads? So he finds friends. Maybe he's an AI. I have no idea. He says, bringing happiness to people is my passion. Business inquiries. Why would I have a business inquiry for you? Why would I want to pay you to do anything for me? But maybe he's like, okay, here's my business model. I am going to pay to put my post everywhere. I'm going to get a lot of followers because why the fuck not? This guy's weird. And then people will pay me to run their ads. Maybe. I don't fucking know. Bukaki says, I'm a hater. Dude just likes to party. It's not that I'm a hater. I just don't understand why he paid for an ad. It would be like you saying, like on your Twitter account, hey, I'm Bukaki Drive-By. I really like glory holes. I'll be here at Saturday at the truck stop off, Highway 51. It's like you do that, but why would you pay people to know? I don't understand. You hire him to smoke weed on your couch. I don't understand. He wants friends, maybe. Jaffe, decrease the IQ of your channel's content, says Ludo, and you'll increase your audience. Oh, Jaffe, what if he's a swell, fun guy and you're bringing his light down just to make your shine brighter? Yeah, it could be. I don't have anything against him. I just don't understand him. That doesn't mean he's a bad dude. I'd like somebody to explain this shit to me is all. That's all I'm saying. All right, let us get to the drones. So the drones, are, I don't know if you're following the news, but you have them call into the show. The drones, at first there was a lot of people talking about UAPs, like UFOs, like aliens and shit, right? And so right now, if you don't know, the into last year, there were like 17 days they were over Langley Air Force Base. A couple of months ago, they were flying over the UK, certain places in the UK. And now we are getting them flying over military installations again in America. I don't believe they've been seen anywhere other than America and the UK. I could be wrong about that. But now New Jersey is the hot spot. Every night there are tons and tons of these that people are seeing. Now, a lot of these are airplanes that people are like, I saw a drone. It's like, no, that's an airplane, sir. But there are a lot of, all the major news sources are covering this now. There are daylight pictures, which I can show you. I understand UFOs are drones. When I say UFOs, I mean extraterrestrials, though. I'm using it like the old school way. I understand that you could shit really hard and it goes into the air and someone doesn't know it's shit till it lands on their face. That's a UFO. I get it. But regardless, though, so get rid of a lot of the ones now because it's become a big deal that everyone's talking about, at least to some extent online. And so people are like, I saw a drone. Okay, that's fine. But you really have three options at this point, right? You can go down the alien rabbit hole, which is very interesting. And I don't know how true it is with the Lou Elizondo and Greer and all that stuff. And Elizondo speaks to this in a minute. I'll play you a clip, which is really interesting. You can assume that they're not piloted. I mean, sorry, they're not civilian drones for the most part. Some might be, but you're not going to get civilian drones flying over Langley and bases in the UK and bases in America that you bought at fucking, the online at Best Buy. You're just not. They're not going to be like, oh, there's tons of them and we don't know what to do about it. They're not shooting them down, right? So at this point, then, they're either ours and government officials don't know about them that are being asked, like this guy, that literally the guy who is Senator Mark Warner, who is, I believe he is the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He sits on the Intelligence Committee. He doesn't know what these are. So if these are American drones, you have to ask yourself, well, why don't our elected officials know on these committees? And more importantly, if they don't seem all that dramatic, if all they are drones, we can see them. They're not cloaked. They're not invisible. There's some daylight pictures I can show you in a minute. They're as big as cars, at least some of them. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. Or they are from China and Russia or whatever. And I mean, that's the scariest one, as much as I would love to believe it's aliens. The idea I'm trying to do the Occam's razor thing and just figure out what is the most likely scenario with these things. I don't know if it's the most likely, but it seems like if you've got drones flying over American air bases and UK air bases and really sensitive sites, and we're not shooting them down, why? Right? Well, is it that they are loaded with something that if we shoot them down, maybe there's bombs in them, or maybe there's some kind of radiation in them. And if we shoot them down, sure, you'll take them out of the sky, but it's basically going to spread, some toxic waste in a pretty big radius. So it's kind of like a fail-safe. It's a kill switch, basically. Maybe that's what's going on. Or why else would these be happening and the government can't tell us what they are, but we can see them and we're not getting rid of them? Like, why not just say, well, yeah, you can see them up there. We're doing some testing for some new programs. It's classified. That's all we can say. This is my question to you guys. I mean, I could play it for you, but what's the point? But here's what the guy who sits on the Senate Intelligence, he says, I'm gravely concerned about what's over our skies, not just American skies. It's been seen above the UK as well. Brett Moore says you use an EMP to take them down. I don't think taking them down is the problem, unless what they're saying is we don't know how to take them down. Because by the way, they're also flying over Trump's golf courses, and they're flying over the homes of the FBI agents that are investigating them. It says FBI agents who investigated the UFO, UAP, and drone reports are now reporting the drones being seen over their own homes. This is kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? Here's this guy. This is I'm not sure who he is, but what he said was pretty smart about this. Listen to what he says.
We built.
Let me hang on. Let me make sure you get the audio. Okay. All right. Let me play this guy for you because he sums it up pretty well. At least my take on it.
We build craft that look like their craft. They build craft that look like ours. It's underway right now. These drone things that are popping up over air bases, drones, a nice prosaic term that calms us down. Well, maybe somebody went to Amazon and bought one or Walmart or something. They're trying to shoot those things down. They haven't been able to using the kind of sophisticated anti-drone technology. It doesn't work on these things. I think those drones they're something else, and they're telling us something.
Right. So this is one of the alien thinkers, right? The alien thinkers will say, what's happening is there are good ETs and bad ETs. The bad ETs are cloaked. The aliens, the good ETs have said, we are now showing ourselves to you because we have no choice and we are slowly disclosing ourselves to you. So this doesn't have to stay hidden for much longer, right? That's kind of that angle, right? If you listen though to this guy, this is the Senate Intelligence Committee member, the senator, I don't know where he's from, Mark Warner. Here's what he says. They're interviewing him after a classified briefing about these drones. And he comes out and the press said, what's going on? Here's what he says.
Your American skies. How do you as the Senate Intel Chair not know what's flying? Your American skies.
So I'll read it to you because you can't hear the reporters. He says, why to you as the Senate Intelligence Chair don't know what's flying over American skies? That was the question he was asked.
I'm gravely concerned about that, and we got to get the answer. And it's obviously not just American skies. You've seen reports now in the UK as well.
Well, no, this is report of 60 British forces coming over here to help us solve this. Like, I thought we were the best and the brightest with near $1 trillion a year budget.
So Addy Pie, what is this is what's funny. Addy Pie, this is what I mean about needing to have an open mind to things. And Bitrate the same. I understand politicians lie. Addy Pie says nonsense. These people try to confuse people like you, so you give this crap attention. If somebody were to listen, right, to what I'm saying to you guys, I'm not suggesting that people are not lying to us. I'm not suggesting that there are not government officials that are lying by the very nature of saying, I don't know, we need to figure this out. And they may know exactly what it is. That's fine. You're not being super cynical and wise and a realist when you say that. Yeah, we all know that. But what I'm saying to you, though, is we know these things are up there and they are visible. They're not hidden. They're not going through trouble to hide them. And they are appearing over bases in the UK and America. And the question then becomes, okay, to what end would they be answering, we don't know, versus going, yeah, no, there's a lot of classified things we're working on. You know, this is classified. We know you can see them, but we're not going to share lots of information with you guys. Why would they seed a story into the world of, we don't know what these are? They could be China. They could be Russia. They could be aliens. They could be siloed departments within the United States creating these things, and your tax-paying dollars are going towards them, but the people you elect to oversee those companies that make these things are keeping us in the dark. Why would they be saying all of those things versus just going, yeah, it's classified. We're not going to give our secrets away, but just know that we're on the job. We're in cahoots with the UK, and they're in cahoots with us, and we've got some cool shit, but you know, for now, it's best to keep it secret. But yeah, look up; it'll give you a nice little light show. Why would you not say that? Let's all agree politicians lie. Let's all agree that there are psyops that they run on the American people. Let's agree that maybe the most spectacular scenario is not even on the table. It's not aliens. if some of the tech is exposed, it puts powerful people at risk. Yes, but it is exposed. Here, it's in the daylight. They're not trying to hide this. Forget what the FBI says, right? Let me show you the daytime footage of these things. So it's very clear these are large fucking drones up there. Hang on, I gotta find it. There's a lot of this footage out there, and a lot of the footage is like bullshit because you got to be like, like this is a current state-of-the-art drone. It could very well be a drone, but we know we have drones. What's the secret? Where's the one? I want to show you this one. Let's see. Daylight drone car size. I spelled it wrong. It'll find it. Maybe. Daylight drone. Images.
Adam joined.
That's not what I want. That's the news. I think it's NBC News. Here, large mystery drones flying over neighborhoods in New York, right?
Tonight, an aerial mystery that's been described as unnerving is growing. The FBI now investigating multiple reports of unidentified drones flying over New Jersey, some as large as a small car. And today, a large drone seen here, also described as the size of a small vehicle, flying over a California event where Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was in attendance.
More drones in the sky, Rockaway, New Jersey.
The New Jersey drones, initially spotted in the northern part of the state, now being reported further south. Sightings also now being reported in New York City. Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella calling on the FAA and FBI to expand their investigation.
People have seen a number of 15-foot or so wingspan drones hovering around. In this day and age, I just don't think that that's something you take lightly. If it is, nothing to be concerned about. Someone should come forward and say that.
Residents alarmed by the number of sightings.
One would go over, and then the next one would come, and then the next one, and the next one. So it wasn't like there would be 20 coming at one time.
Jonathan Lace, a pilot himself, shot this shocking video overnight of multiple car-sized drones near the Essex County, New Jersey airport. So concerned by what he saw, he contacted the FAA.
What's been probably the most alarming thing to you?
As a pilot, I can tell you that, when you're about to land, the last thing you want to see is something hovering in front of you.
What is that?
With many questions and few answers, residents and officials alike on high alert as the mystery in the sky deepens. Of a small vehicle.
So yeah, it's someone's like, that just looks like a normal drone. Again, I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm really not. It could be, but I'm not suggesting it's aliens. I'm not saying this isn't, but this, you don't go to Best Buy and buy a car-sized drone and fly it over an event in California where the Secretary of Defense is, and no one knows what the fuck is going on. You don't have 30 or 40 of these flying over Langley Air Force Base in last December, or over nuke silos, which is this year, and go, yeah, we don't know what it is. How are they determining if it's a car-sized drone? I don't know. Their eyes, they're looking at it and going, that's pretty fucking big. I don't fucking know. I mean, again, it's not the fact, and I'll bring in this caller, I'll bring in Adam in a second. It's not the fact that, again, I'm not trying to sell you on the dramatic take here. I'm saying that when you have this much stuff flying around, there is a point where maybe you want to go, this is unusual and this is sort of out of the norm. I'm trying to find one that just went up today. That was, it almost looked like the drone was dropping orbs from it, which was pretty interesting to look at. If I can, let me see if I have that brought up. It was kind of neat. And it's not like one or two. There are like lots of these fucking things. Non-stop drone activity, 7 hours, 3 to 5 silent drones with any given moment of time. I want to find the one that's dropping this shit from it. It looks like this weird. It looks like if you've ever seen an octopus poop, it looks like octopus poop. It's really weird. But I may not be able to find it right now. I'll have to show it to you guys later. All right, let me bring in Adam. But it's probably Amazon testing delivery drones. Again, though, Cool. Fantastic. Then Amazon should say that. Why would the government not know? Why would the FAA not know? Adam, it's Jaffe. What the fuck are these drones, dude?
Echo test. Real quick.
I don't know what that means. What is echo tests?
Oh, make sure it's not an echo. A lot of times.
Oh, I see. I thought you were. Yes, no, there's no echo. I got it.
Is there a way I can send you a link on here?
Just tell me what to Google. Probably not.
Ashton Forbes.
I know who that is. Yeah, I watch his stuff.
Okay, so you see the three orbs that are circling the MH370.
Yeah, you're talking about the Malaysian Air thing that vanished, right?
Yeah, and in going deeper and deeper and deeper into it, it's interesting how it points to that there's, and it's actually not that it's like hiding, it's actually in plain sight if you know the physics to look it up, that there's really the science that is being used right now to be able to do these sort of things. It happens to deal with electromagnetism and gravity.
And free energy and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and so it makes me think that how many things maybe have occurred, that the reason this stuff can't get exposed is less due to not us not wanting to share the technology, but it could implicate people that have run operations that have used this technology to, like, for instance, that airplane disappearing. And
yeah, but we're not seeing in the sky right now. We're not seeing the orbs that are alleged to have basically created a warp. Right. We're just seeing drones, right? I mean, like the one over California or the ones over New Jersey. No one is saying they are behaving in really strange, odd ways like the Tic Tac video or anything like that. I mean, there's a couple of videos that say that, but these that are at least alleged to be flying over Trump's golf course, the FBI's who are investigating New York, California now, the UK, Virginia, and a bunch in New Jersey. People, they're just saying they're drones, but we don't know whose drones, and they're flying in formation and they're big. These are not little people like, hey, it's the drone club that got together on meetup.org.
Right.
And
but
we
I'm
like
saying
to fly our drones at night.
It's an evolutionary branch of that technology. Like, how can this be simplified and used? Because right now the way it's being used uses up a whole lot of energy. It uses it in a way where it's technology that doesn't want to be shared. But by simplifying it, and some of the documentation that's from the 80s, as these scientists have been engineering the electromagnetism and gravity, however that works, are trying to like simplify the usage of this. So it could be what we're seeing is Lockheed Martin, whatever, doing tests, throwing things out there, seeing what's going on. And I think, and it's interesting because
over nuclear sites and Air Force bases, why would they not just go out to the desert or Area 51 or wherever? Why would they be doing it over
most
sites?
People wouldn't be there, maybe.
Yeah, but why fly it over golf courses and FBI agents' houses?
I think it's just getting to a point where it's not as of a threat to the holders of this technology to have like lesser versions of this sort of technology kind of out there.
I hear you, but and that would make sense if we were seeing, we saw a test out over some suburban neighborhood, and that's 4 miles away from a Skunk Works program of Lockheed Martin or whatever. But we are seeing these over very sensitive military sites. We are seeing them over Trump's locations. We are seeing them over FBI agent houses.
Well, according to, like the Ashton Forbes stuff, it could be that they're being teleported over there.
That's a good point. I mean, it could be that there was some point where, I mean, if you go down that direction, maybe nukes have launched and these things created portals and they're sending them somewhere so we don't actually start World War III. I mean, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good story.
Yeah, no.
But who knows? All right. Well, if you learn anything else, let me know, man. I'm dying to know what's going on. All right. Thanks, buddy. Somebody says I've seen a bunch of people building on YouTube like car-sized drones in their garages. I'm not saying people aren't capable of making these. I'm saying that the amount of them and the places that they're popping up, we're not getting flying cars that, weren't there. And suddenly now the sky in New Jersey is filled with flying cars. I mean, that people just sort of kit bashed from, maker.com or something. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Denial of this is easier than acknowledgement, says Joker. The stuff is why officially started accepting UAP reports so they can keep tabs easier without having to ask. I'm not sure I understand that. This stuff is why they officially started accepting UAP reports. They can keep tabs. Yeah, but okay. I don't really, okay. Did they ever recover the Canadian thing they shot down? They said they did. Yes. There's actually pictures, but who knows if they're real. If they're not recon spy drones, they'll have no way of knowing unless they take one down or follow it to wherever it's going. I mean, that's the thing. Why not just, that's the thing I don't really understand about what the government is saying. If the government is saying, yeah, these are flying over Langley and we don't know what they are, and your EMPs, disruptors are not working, or you can't shoot them down, you can't send up a drone of our own to follow it. I mean, there has been footage of like F-16 chasing some of these things, but they don't go that fast. They're not the Tic Tac things. Here's what Lou Elizondo said, which, I'll play you two real quick clips. This is the Pentagon responding to this. So, this is not some fringe thing no one's talking about. This is the fucking Pentagon. Here's what the Pentagon said. Then I'll play you what Elizondo said about it.
Quick second question. You talked about this new classified strategy. And you had talked before about that there were some incursions, particularly down in Virginia, over military facilities, and there's been others. Is there anything in the strategy that's more tactical that allows commanders to do anything, or is this just a broad statement of policy?
Of course, it's got all kinds of good information, but it's classified, so I can't talk about it. No. So really, Lita, again, recognizing that the strategy is classified, we will have an unclassified fact sheet that we'll be providing soon. Really, just kind of looking at how we'll approach this. One is ensuring that the department is prepared to conduct counter unmanned system operations, counter UAS operations. Two is looking at how we respond to incidents that do occur by pulling together subject matter experts and resources. And then third is tracking equipment and counter UAS equipment, UAS as one aspect of drones. So really, again, broad brush. It's kind of looking at this in a comprehensive and cohesive way. Again, I'm not going to go into the specific tactics, techniques, procedures at this point, but it enables the department to approach this in a way, again, that's comprehensive, cohesive, and holistic.
He basically said nothing, but at least they're acknowledging, yeah, there's this thing we have to figure out what we're going to tell you and what it is and what it isn't. And some of them are saying they don't know. And this guy's saying, oh, maybe we'll put out a non-classified. And this is Elizondo talking about it, which I thought was, I don't know how much to believe the guy, but it certainly makes for an entertaining clip, if nothing else. Hang on. Where did it go? Where did you go, Lulu? I may have killed it. Oh, there he is, right there. Listen.
And you feel like you are you're holding. But I'm not gonna lie. When I spend time with you, we've spent a decent amount of time together. I get the sense that you're sitting on things that feel like very hard truths. It feels like your existence, like you want to say more, and you feel like you are you're holding it together, and that's a tough spot to be in. And so, to the extent you can talk about what might be imminent, what is imminent?
Time is not a luxury that we can afford. The time has come. We need to start having the conversation collectively. We should have had it a while ago, but we really need to start having the conversation.
I can't think of a better note.
All right. I mean, that's, so whatever though, but these, everybody's a grifter. Maybe everybody's a entertainer these days. Right. So I get it. Is he right? Is he full of shit? I don't fucking know. You don't know either. But that's one angle. They're aliens. The other angle is the worst angle, honestly, would be the fucking Chinese and the Russians have these. We can't shoot them down, and if they want, we could pretty much have the blitzing of London happening all over America if Russia and China decided to. That would be the worst. We'll move off this topic because, Brad doesn't like it. How can you not be interested in this topic? There are crazy shit in the sky. Anyway, let me bring in a couple of people real quick, and then we're going to move on. I want to show you guys when we move on the 10 most realistic psychopaths ever portrayed on film. See if you can guess who the number one one is. But first, let's bring in Courtney Williams, and I'll bring in Plazookas. Let me get this off the screen real quick. All right, Courtney, what's going on, bud?
Hey, buddy. I was just wanting to. I just heard you talking about the Pentagon sort of reporting on what they say or isn't going on.
Yes.
They've just failed their 7th audit in a row, and they can't account for where all this money of your guys' tax money is going. I don't know that you could trust anything they say. You can't
trust any of these people. They are not working for us. So yeah, who knows what is true? But you've never been able to trust them. It's not news.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think, man? I've pulled a reverse Jaffe, and instead of shaving, I've left a mustache. What's the verdict, man?
Oh, I didn't even notice. So
oh my God!
I don't really think about it, but I know I've look. Don't take it the wrong way. I've been able to look at you and say that's an objectively good-looking man, which you are, but I don't think about it beyond the bit. Now I actually have to look at your face and study it. Let me see. I'll ask the chat. What do you guys think of his mustache? Right, that's what you want to know.
Oh man, I didn't need a mustache.
What I will say. I think you're married, right? Didn't you say you were married or involved?
Correct, man. Yeah, married, 2 young kids. Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't matter to you these days, but I did read that women do like the scruff. The number one thing they don't like clean shaven. They don't like big bushy beards. They like it pretty much 3 days growth. And if you can keep it there, you're off to the fucking races. Kevin gives you hearts, so he's turned on. Brad Skaggs gives you a 4 out of 10, but he's a moron. He thought the fucking UFO drone topic was boring.
Man,
so I don't.
That's an IGN review. That's an IGN review. I don't trust it.
Right. Zanark says you're a king. Joker gives you a 10 out of 10. So what does the wife think?
Oh, she hates it.
Why? Why does she hate it?
I don't know, because I find it so entertaining, I suppose.
Oh, that sounds like a healthy marriage. I love it. So, what do people in the world, when you go out in the world and you see the ladies or the men, whatever, what do they seem to respond better to you now with the mustache, or not really? No different.
I'm trying to gauge if it's a respect thing on the work site. I'm because you walk onto a construction site and you can automatically the level of aura goes up a little bit with a bit of facial hair.
Well, Alex says it's a 7 out of 10. He loves it. If there's any ladies watching right now, if you want to call in, there's the link pinned to the top of the YouTube. Let us know what you think of good Sir Courtney's mustache. Alex says his priest teacher gave you a 10 out of 10. Tell the priest he's over 12, so he's not going to be interested in him.
Just one more thing quickly, Jaffe, before I don't want to waste your time.
Yep.
Just want to say heaps of interesting stuff going on over the last little bit, and I'm glad to hear that you're loving Indy.
Love that game. I'm having so much fun with it. Have you played it?
Yeah. No, I haven't, man. I've sort of been in the backlog a little bit.
Yeah.
Of all things, and the chat's going to kill me for this, I've been playing that Rise, Son of Rome.
A lot of people say that game was I have never played it. They say it's kind of like the Xbox's version of the Order 1886. It's much derised, maligned, whatever the term is, but it's actually, when you play it without all the hype, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, the graphics hold up really well, and the it's like a fun story. So I'm just kind of making my way through that. Yeah, just taking it easy, really.
All right. Have fun. We'll enjoy it and get to Indy when you can. It's good stuff, man. If you keep watching and a lady calls in, call back. We'll have her judge your mustache for you.
Beauty.
All right.
Thanks,
See you,
man.
bud. All right, man. All right, there goes Courtney. Let's bring in Plazookas. Plazookas, what's going on, buddy? What do you think of Courtney's mustache?
From somebody that actually shaves daily, I don't really comment on mustaches because I don't think there's any use for them.
Oh, interesting. All right, what do you want to talk about again? What's going on?
So the UFO thing, I don't know if you covered this because I was only listening to it while I was cooking and stuff like that. But did you cover the fact that it just could be a cover up from the military itself because of how many cameras and social media and how many people are networking now that it could be just theirs and they're saying it's whatever it is.
Yes, the idea that they're lying to us and it's ours. Yes. The question is who's involved in the lie? If you've got the Senate Intelligence Committee saying we don't know what it is that guy lying? And
it's all of it, right? It's essentially a public secret, right? It's them.
So then why not just say why stir up fear that it could be the Russians, the Chinese, aliens? Why not just say, yeah, it's a classified program?
Stir it up fear is actually really healthy for them to be able to, do their cover. Whenever I don't know if there's a good example or not, but the Cold War and stuff like that, obviously it was a real thing, but fear can propagate community to rally. And then if we just think it's UFOs or somebody else's and we don't actually think it's theirs, they basically can secure their, if it's, I think that the thing that really got me was that it's above Mar-a-Lago, and then you have the defense, the defense secretary, like those are like people that you would want to like really protect. And how you do that logistically, drones are a really good new technology that we can use to basically cover a 360 area. So why wouldn't it be ours? Why wouldn't it be something that we're using now?
Well, yeah, and why would you, after 2 assassination attempts on Trump, and now he's the president-elect, why would you allow? It's like, okay, I get that maybe you're not capable of shooting them down, but why wouldn't we at least be seeing attempts to shoot them down? So, I mean, maybe that is Occam's razor.
It could just be that they don't even exist at all. And that
well, come on, you're telling me they don't. We see footage.
We have things that can show spirits on camera apps now.
Yeah, but you've got. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but when you're getting this many people and you're getting them from all different countries, or at least 2 different countries, all across the country, the idea that that even the video is faked, I don't know.
Well, can you agree that all possible things are just as likely as any other of the things at this point? Like, we don't know.
I would say the most likely is probably what you're saying. I think that's it. It's probably ours. And the question really becomes, to what end are they? What do they value if we think it's because what they're really saying is then, okay, let's say we're afraid. And what we're being told, what the PSYOPs is achieving, is telling everyday Americans that you guys are not capable of protecting the skies from Russians or Chinese or North Korea, and they'll fly over Trump, they'll fly over FBI agents' houses, they'll fly over Langley, they'll fly over nuke silos. To what end would that fear allow? You'd think they would be like, oh my God, fuck this shit. You guys are dropping the ball. You're not taking care of us.
Well, you would think that, but that's not been what historically has happened. We've tried to, change government or, make movements and stuff like that, but it rarely ever happens. And we have other things that we're distracted by too. And that usually is not like center focus. And obviously they're trying to make it center focus by all these, congressional panels and stuff like that, which is an interest, which I agree with you. I think if they're trying to do the strategy, I think they're going all in on it, and they probably should take a step back and subdue it. So therefore, it does lead to the possibility that it could be something else, potentially, possibly, and it's not ours.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately like, what is the truth?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
what is the truth?
It's going to be real interesting to watch and see how it unfolds. And the fact that the Pentagon is saying we're going to release an unclassified fact sheet for you guys. maybe they'll come out and say, because what I think is the truth is what you're saying, but I think maybe they don't have their message together, or not everybody is read in on it yet. And maybe it needs to be like, guys, it's us. We're good. We're not going to tell the public what it is, but just trust me, this shit's bad.
Yeah, and they would if this is an actual way to counter an assassination or any kind of a potential civil war or stuff like that.
Yeah.
This would be an effective way to do that, and this would be an op that they would put into place that they would want to try to keep secret. And how you do that is misinformation and fear.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'll tell you what, I still hope it's aliens. All right, Plazookas, good to see you, buddy. All right, there he goes, fellas. All right, let's change the topics. We got to wake Brad Skaggs back up. You know how he goes. I want to show you. Well, I do want to say though, just so you guys know, I am a disappointed skeptic, right? So I want to believe this shit with all my heart and soul. I do think there's weird shit going on, but I'm not going to believe it just because I want to believe it. And Mick West, if you follow Mick West, used to be a programmer in video games, but he's a big debunking guy. He writes books on this. He's got a real popular website. And some people accuse him of being a government plant that is out there professionally debunking so people don't ask questions. Maybe. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no evidence. But he was talking about this the other night, which I thought was a pretty good test that he did, which is there were people seeing all of these things in, I think, over Nevada or Arizona. And he was saying, people were like, oh my God, what is this? And ultimately what he did is he kind of looked at the map and he said, well, there's this hill up there, and at night it looks like it's the sky. But fundamentally, these things were actually up on the hill driving around. So they were cars and lights and stuff. But if you make it dark, because that's what nighttime does, it looks like there are things flying around up there. So is it entirely true what he's saying? I don't know. But, I appreciate the mind of a skeptic. I think it's important. I think we need both. I think we got to, believe the amazing in order to make amazing shit happen. And we also have to be skeptical. But who knows? Toxic says, I don't think it's aliens, Jeff. I think aliens exist. I think interdimensional beings exist. But I don't necessarily think that's what we're seeing in the skies right now. But I don't really know. That's the difference between me and somebody says, so why can you believe that but not God? And I say, because I don't know. I'm not actually saying they do exist. I think they exist, or they probably exist. But yeah, I have no evidence they exist. But same with God. I have less evidence that God would exist and more evidence that aliens would exist. So that's, but I don't really know either way. The 10 most realistic movie psychopaths. There was a group of people that got together and said, you know what we should do with our limited time here on planet Earth? And I appreciate it. I'm glad they did. They said, let's look at the movies and decide which psychopaths in the motion picture shows are the ones that are most realistic. In horror, very few films get oh my God, I love this word, but I can never say it. Psychopathy. What's the word? Right. Most are stereotypical and one-dimensional. But psychologists and experts have gotten together and they've said, these are the top 10 most realistic movie psychopaths. Okay. Alonzo Harris, Denzel in Training Day. The reason they said is because he disrespects social norms and his ability to exploit others. Psychopaths typically try to find weaknesses that they can use to get one over on someone, making social interactions more akin to a battle of wills. P Turtle. Just be aware. Number 9 is Catherine Trammell from Basic Instinct, because she takes risks to get her thrills. Unfortunately, her antics are often to the detriment of others. Gordon Gekko, number 8 from Wall Street. Gekko was a certified tyrant with an unhealthy mixture of charm and manipulation. One must also remember that many of the most famous psychos of our time had a common trait. They were charming. Wink. There we go. Number 8, Gordon Gekko. Is the list already obvious as fuck, Kevin? Okay, who's number 7? Yeah, you don't know. You need me. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. I get it, but devoid of humanity. He's a real person, actually committed the crimes portrayed in the movie. He's the textbook definition of a successful psychopath and was thankfully arrested for his crimes. Unfortunately, despite all the damage, many believe he still hasn't learned his lesson. Of course he hasn't, because this is America. You want to win in America, you got to be out of your fucking mind. You got to be crazy in America, because that's what America celebrates. That's what gives you success in America, is treat other people like shit. You want money, be a psychopath. That's how it works. Oh, is it a garbage list? Why? Why? James Bond. They say James Bond's a psychopath. Why? He kills people in creative ways that even Jason Voorhees would admire and drops one-liners afterwards. Well, he's sexually promiscuous and has poor control over his behavior. Okay, fuck you. Sometimes the good guy, fuck you. That's God damn it. How dare you attack James Bond? Ludo from France says, Jaffe, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, the truth is total control of the population in terms of economic, social, and mind influence. You heard about MK Ultra program. If not, check it. You're saying the goal of all this is control the population. They already have control of the population. I know the MK Ultra program, the MK Ultra. Kevin, oh my God. Really? Let me get the Ludo first. What do you mean, what nonsense? I didn't make the list. These are experts that got together and made the list. Jesus Christ, man. But Ludo, yeah, I mean, I appreciate the super chat, but of course the 1% want to control everybody. We get it. It's the same as it ever was. The MK Ultra program, if I remember, was stuff like remote viewing and astral projection and all that stuff that the CIA was working on, that they say they closed the program in the 70s or 80s, but I'm sure they still, I mean, look, if they were willing to look into stuff like that back then, they're looking into it now. Whatever it is, I don't know. Kevin Sal says, come on, Jaffe, this is boring. What's boring about it? You must be number one on the list, Kevin. If I'm reading a list to you people of the top 10 psychopaths in movies, and you say that this is boring, what is your normal life like? You must be at the top of the list if you think this is boring. Good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. Okay. Thank you, Ludo. I appreciate it, buddy. I was reading about that shit in middle school, not being condescending. Yes. Okay, then I just won't tell you. I won't tell you who 3, 4, and 3, 2, 1 are then, because you guys don't want to know. Let's move on. No, you've ruined it for the whole class. Let's move on. But I'm going to look. I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to see who I'm going to see who they are. Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting. Number 3, interesting. Number 2, oh, didn't see that coming. And number 1, huh. You guys go look it up yourself, you fucks. You fucking ungrateful fucks. Okay. Now, this is something. Well, I'll wait for the chat. If the chat wants to see it, I'll tell you. But it sounds like you guys are too cool for school. So, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? You want to know? You want the rest of the list? Okay, fine. I'll finish the list, you fuckers. The rest of the list goes like this. Number 5 is Hedda Carlson from Single White Female, because she's fucking crazy. The Joker's number 4. Fuck you. The new one. Not the new one. The one from the goddamn Heath Ledger. Number 3, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Hans Beckert from M. And number 1 is the guy from No Country for Old Men. You've ruined the bit. You've ruined the bit. It's no fun for me anymore to read this list to you. You fucking bitches. I'll put a link. Maybe you can enjoy it on your own time. You can enjoy it on your own fucking time, you son of a bitch. All right, there you go. All right. God damn it. I don't go there. Here you go. There's your list. Stick it up your butthole. All right. Let's move forward. I like how Nick Cage says Kevin was number 4 from National Treasure. Can you imagine? Okay. Oh, is this a new insult? Addie Pie says, Jaffe is such a lunch lady. What the fuck does that mean? How much interactions did you have with your lunch lady to even be able to come up with some sort of stereotype of a lunch lady. What that means? What that means? What? Anyway, I haven't watched this yet, but we're gonna watch this together. I don't know if it's as impressive as they say, but you guys are really hard to please today, so fuck you. Oh my God, the world is a stage. Queen Elizabeth touched the orb that lit up the DNA sequence like a vortex, leading to the illumination of the tree of life. This was 2 years ago on the first day of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. It gets weirder. The entire world is about to change, and they know what's coming. Follow this rabbit hole. It's not too good for school. It's too cool for school. That's right. That's right. Mutemo says Jaffe poured his heart and soul into his lunch lady every day. That's right. You know what made me really sad though? You know what made me really sad? Speaking of lunch ladies, we'll get back to this Queen Elizabeth story, but I've been thrown off my game already. So fuck you. Okay. So Melissa Benoist, who's my girlfriend, who's in Supergirl, was first a character named Marley in Glee, right? This is where we're going. This is what you've brought upon yourself. Marley mother. The mother was the lunch lady. But we didn't know the mom was the lunch lady until a couple episodes in after meeting Marley, right? So Marley, here's Marley, and you're like, oh, she's cute. Who's Marley? New character on Glee. Great voice, blah, blah, blah. Well, her mom was this big fat lady, and everybody in the Glee group was making fun of her. And Melissa Benoist was struggling. She's like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with the fact that they hate my mom and I like these kids? But I have to deal with the fact that, that's my mom they're talking about. That's what we're talking about on the show now, you stupid fucks. These psychopaths are not interesting. Let's talk about the lunch lady. Hello, lunch. Fuck you. But they never resolved the story because it was canceled soon after because, Melissa Benoist is television poison if it's not Supergirl. Her show was just canceled on HBO called Girls on the Bus, which was pretty good too. But anyway. All right, let's keep going. It says at the same event, which was Queen Elizabeth's last one as she passed that year, we witnessed an orb flying in front of the camera, changing speed and direction. These orbs are ancient and have been with us since the beginning. Later in the thread, you'll understand why. Okay. So apparently on this very show, when she lit, I guess at some point, some planes flew over and there's this orb. You can see it right there, actually. It's pretty good. And then they're going to go to a close-up right there. Okay. Fuck you, Brad. He says, pull up some BuzzFeed quizzes next. Fuck you. I can pull up shit that'll make you run to your fucking mom, even if she's been dead for 50 fucking years. Why do I watch shows meant for 20-year-old women, says Addie Pie? Because I don't give a shit. I like what I like, man. Do you know how many men, let's talk about men for a minute. You know how many men probably in this world take what they like and don't express it? Seriously. I know you're taking the piss there, but yeah, I loved Supergirl. I love rom-coms. I love Hallmark romantic movies. Not Hallmark, I don't watch those, but when Netflix does like Christmas movies. And I also like Art the Clown. Go fuck yourself is my answer. Because shit's interesting. Shit's interesting. I mean, I'm seriously, I'm not doing a bit here. What a life one must have to go, this is the man code, and I have to live within the man code, or what? What's going to happen to you if you break out of the man code is what I'd like to know. Bukaki says gay. Cool. I'm not gay, but what would be wrong with being gay? I don't even understand that. How is gay an insult? I don't get it. I don't get it. Jay says, I like The Wizard of Oz, greatest movie ever. My buddy called me gay, but I don't give a fuck. Wizard of Oz is a masterpiece. First off, it is a masterpiece. Second off, why would you give a fuck? Why is gay an insult? Jaffe says, Jonathan, that's how I feel everywhere besides online. Everyone I know doesn't care about games. Right. Who gives a shit? Fuck them. Yeah, the Supergirl TV show Fuzzy was great. I mean, to me, it was great because she was hot as a superhero. The show was fine. Flash was a genuinely great show. Jaffe, I think you're secretly homophobic. Why would I be homophobic? Homophobic means you don't like gay people. I got nothing against gay people. If you flipped a switch and suddenly Jaffe's gay, I'd be like, all right, cool. New people to fuck. What do I care? It's nothing to be against it. You just say, I say I'm pro-gay for cover. Cover from what? Cover implies there's something dangerous that I got to take cover from. Jaffe did want to suck off the hobo. No, I didn't want to suck off the hobo. I said I would take up that action if it got me $1 billion. Addie Pie says women like their men masculine. They don't want girls for men. Think about what you just wrote, you stupid moron. Think about what you just wrote. So what you're saying is you want to be with a woman who you have to play a character in order to get. What? Let's put it this way. There are people out there for everybody. Okay. The fact that you go, the only reason I'm going to pretend to be masculine is because that's what women want. Well, first off, that's about the least masculine thing I can think of, to be such a fucking bitch that you're willing to take who you really are and shove it into a hole so you can get laid. A real fucking man is like, hey, this is me, take me or leave me. Addie Pie. There you go. But Joe's right. Joe says you got some real alphas in here, Jaffe. Oh, I know. I learn every day. Every day. Jaffe has a little bit of sugar in his tank. I don't know what that means. Probably, I don't know, but sure, why not? I think the gayest gays are the ones that pretend they only watch. I don't even understand what that means. 1 minute says, I think the gayest guys are the gayest guys are the ones that pretend they only watch man shit only. Oh, you mean like, you mean like not men having sex. You mean like man, like, oh, I can only watch Rambo and shit. I got you. Okay, let's, oh yeah. Warp says, so what's this article's end of the orb in the fucking jet stream? Well, because people, what do you want from me? It's the Jaffe stream. Goes all over the place. Let's keep going. All right, so there's this orb. Somebody thinks it's a golf ball. What a moron. Who hit it? Hercules? What golf ball is able to fly that fucking fast? But sure, why not? Let's say it's a golf ball. Let's keep going. They simply want to touch the orbs. No, that's somebody responding. Let's go to the thread. Okay, so they simply want to touch the orbs to initiate an opening ceremony. And while we're on the topic of holding orbs, the main leader of Vision 2030 and Neon projects, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, purchased the most expensive painting in the world. Salvador Mundi, the savior of the world, depicting Jesus holding an orb with 3 smaller white orbs. And this is not the only biblical project planned for Saudi Arabia. But I have already witnessed blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is the world's most expensive painting. Jesus holding an orb with 3 other orbs. Okay. In that thread, I explain why the symbolism of the orb is important, especially when depicted in the glorification of the Eucharist, and how the orb is connected to the body of Jesus. Okay. The orb is connected to achieving the Tibetan rainbow body, a body made of pure energy, pure light, pure plasma. The concept is presented in every ancient religion. I don't know if that's true. It might be. The ancient Egyptians referred to it as the Ankh, or the state of becoming a star. Today, we know that stars are what? Are primarily composed of plasma. This is what, now this guy may be right, by the way. This may be right, but this is what I like to do when somebody offers up what could be potential horseshit, is I like to go to my friend ChatGPT and just do a little fact checking. Hey there. Are you there?
Hi there. Nice to meet you. I'm excited to help you get things done. Let's get started.
Okay, I have a question for you. So what is the sun primarily composed of? What is the main ingredient of the sun?
Great question. The sun is primarily composed of hydrogen. which makes up about 74% of its mass.
Okay, wait a minute.
The
Wait a
second
minute.
most
Wait.
abundant element is helium.
Hang on. I need the advanced chat. I don't like this chat. I want the advanced one. Okay. Hang on. So first off, hang on. Sorry. Let me bring this up for you guys. Okay. Why am I not getting my audio? Where's my audio, man? I'm disturbed. Sora video creation for OpenAI is out right now, Brad? No, I have not seen that. But I want to fact check this fucking thing. What did they say? Hydrogen? Is hydrogen plasma? Probably not. Hydrogen itself is not inherently always in the plasma state. Under normal Earth conditions, hydrogen exists as a diatomic gas. However, if hydrogen is subjected to high temperatures or exposed, it can be ionized, therefore transforming into a plasma. So maybe that's correct. Okay, cool. And then the orb is connected in achieving the rainbow body. Okay. Pure energy, pure light, or plasma. Is pure energy and pure light the same as pure plasma? No, they are not the same. So again, you gotta fucking be careful with this bullshit. People just say stuff and it sounds like they know what they're talking about. Our soul is electromagnetic and connected to the invisible realm, which is the primordial water. Fuck you, dumb thing. I'm not reading any more of this crap. Let's look at this. 15 hard truths of psychology and life. That's important. We need to know that. Let's read that, shall we? Number 1, hide your sadness. No one cares. You think that's true? No one cares. I don't think that's true. I think even people you don't know about, you care if they're sad, and people that you do know and love, you care if they're sad. I don't agree with that. I think you're wrong. Rule number 1 is horseshit. Hide your sadness. No one cares. Number 2, no one notices your sadness until it turns into anger, and then you're the bad person. Well, yeah, that's true, which is why you shouldn't hide your fucking sadness. Of course, no one notices it, you idiot. If you're busy hiding it because you're following rule number 1, the dumbest list. Now you're begging for the psychopath list, aren't you? Oh, here's James Bond. Speaking of, have the confidence to face any challenge front on by yourself. This is the dumbest fucking list ever. Have the confidence. The bravest people don't have confidence. They do it because they don't have confidence. That's why they're brave. This is dumb. The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but who win battles we know nothing about. You just said you got to have the confidence to face any challenge front of. Appear weak when you're strong and strong when you're weak. But don't forget, have the confidence. But don't forget, you got to show strength in okay. This is the worst fucking this list is a contradictory. Fuck it, we're moving on. I don't care. I can't handle these people. Look at this idiot. Well, okay, let's tell me this. Do you think this is true? Was what this guy said true? Listen to this guy.
The seed corn of all development, all growth, all survival.
Did he say? He said seed corn. That's disgusting. Here we go.
So energy, transportation, information, and manufacturing. These are the things that change humanity, that will change world power, and they are descending upon us in ways that are very unique. The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here.
I have plenty of time.
But I've had the benefit of 33 years of.
You know what I do every day? I do this stream, which clearly the audience doesn't care about. I have plenty of time. Share it with me, buddy. This guy's a United States Air Force General, Stephen Quatst.
Of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental. to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour, to deliver Wi-Fi from space, where you never need a cell tower to connect, to deliver energy from space, where you never have to plug your phone in, and it trickle charges, and you can use that
I just want to say that trickle charging sounds absolutely filthy.
energy over time. It can be applied to cars, to houses. The technology of Edison and Tesla that we live with in our energy environment, our paradigm today, is expensive, it's dangerous, and it's wasteful. Plug it into the wall, but yet that's what we all do because we are used to paradigms. The power of space will change world power forever. And it doesn't have to be a big country to do it. It can be a small island country, let's say New Zealand. Because the technology, if optimized, can change world power, and there's nothing you can do if you don't have that power. The nature of power. You either have it and your values rule, or you do not have it and you must submit. We see that play out again and again in history, and it's playing out now. But we get trapped.
I don't know. We have tech today that can take you from anywhere on Earth to anywhere else in an hour. You think that's true? What does it mean? Just like speed? Because he can't mean like, the Malaysian flight, zero energy warping.
The seed corn.
Because, what's happening in that hour? He's wearing a suit, says PK, so he must be telling the truth. It's possible. You know what? No. I'm just going to go to the chat for a little bit before we wrap up and I prep the afternoon stream. What do you want to talk about? Because clearly the Papa Jaffe topics of the day have not met with your approval. Okay. So tomorrow, when we do the Jaffe stream in the morning, what exactly has occurred? Have you guys been like, oh, I don't like UFOs? I don't like aliens? Please stop talking about religion. Look, we'll talk about religion all day long, but you got to offer me something beyond just, oh, it's real. You just have to believe, Jaffe. That is, what a dumb argument for anything. Oh, the PlayStation 6 is coming out tomorrow. No, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. You just have to believe, Jaffe. Oh, I got to go. Where are you going? I got to get in line at Best Buy. I got to get a PlayStation 6. It's out tomorrow. Haven't you heard? Alex, I don't know about the Game Awards yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm struggling with, if I want to do a proper Game Awards or I want to do it with members. I got to decide that today, though. Stoner Joe says, oh, by the way, Craig Hooligan, thank you for upgrading to the Cult of Calypso. I should have gotten that earlier. Sorry. It's been a very rough and tumble show, but thank you, buddy. And then he says, but yeah, thank you for that, buddy. Absolutely. Very, very generous. And Stoner Joe, thank you. He says, I'm guessing you don't think COVID-19 is my fault either. No, I don't. Do a live stream with Gene and us. It's fantastic. Maybe. I got to figure out what's best for the audience. Did Bama deserve to make the playoff? Says Johnny Utah. I wasn't watching it. I don't really watch football unless it's Auburn, and those guys can't win a game to save their lives these days. So, no. Yeah, there will be Jaffe Awards, but they will be awards based on what I've enjoyed the most. Alex says, no, I'm not going to do best game of the year because what does that even mean? But my favorite games of the year, I will tell you, and I will make a thing of it, a thing of it, and I will give members an opportunity to make a video if they want to say what their favorite games of the year. Yes, they're called the Yoshidas. Absolutely. Jaffe, the easy way to life is not to believe. Do you agree? Says Alex. No, I don't. I think it's easier. I mean, belief is not a conscious aspect. You can't will belief into existence. But you just can't because you believe what you believe based on your experiences and whatnot. But do I think that if for somehow you have stumbled upon believing in, let's say, religion, your life is probably a lot easier, which is why it's such a powerful tool to manipulate and control people, right? Muscle Nerd says the TGA, the Game Awards, is at their worst state in their 10th anniversary. I mean, it depends on why you watch it, Muscle Nerd. I watch it for the entertainment factor, to take the piss out of it, and to just enjoy it as a good show. And in that, I think it's really good and it's getting better. But I've always thought award shows proper are pretty stupid. Jaffe, do you believe your chair holds you? Correct. I believe you can use those terms I believe the terms you're using are accurate, so I believe them. But holding me, then you get into really weird semantics about gravity and particles but yes, I believe in normal nomenclature, my chair is holding me up. Yes, that's absolutely true. I believe that. But my mind is open enough to go, I don't really know if that's true. No clue. Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe there is no is. I don't know. Ember says that's the most 14-year-old edgy atheist interpretation of religion I've ever heard. Well, great. I mean, what do you want from me? This is what I believe. Right. I think it's all very silly. But it's important. It's gotten us here. And eventually we will walk away from it and go, okay, now let's go to stage 2, stage 3, whatever. That's what I used to watch it for too, but it is way too many commercials. And since the wrap it up, they lost me. I am nobody, but there was a time when I was up at 3 a.m. in Germany getting excited for God of War 2018. Yeah, I mean, but that's probably just age. Because ultimately you recognize it's all just show. Ember wants another list. Yeah, you keep it up, Ember. You're getting another list. It's all just a show, meaning it's none of it's like, what does it even mean? Most people probably couldn't tell you who watched the Game Awards last year without really thinking hard what won last year or the year before. Ember says you're going to be sorely disappointed if you think we're going to walk away from Christ. I don't care what you do. It's not a thing for me. Go, if it brings you joy and peace and comfort, or go do that. What do I care? I mean, God is either, as you say, real, and depending on who you're talking to, God is awesome and he will love me probably more than you because I am skeptic and because I did use the brain and the free will and all that stuff that I was given by him or her or it to wonder about this amazing experience we're having. Or he's what other folks say God is, in which case he's an asshole and I want nothing to do with him or her or it. Yes, Ember says you care quite a lot. You believe in God. You talk about him all the time. I am fascinated by the mystery. A lot of people on the planet have, understandably, evolutionary wise and power wise, chosen to stop searching at the definition when they've arrived at the definition of God or modern religion. And that's fine for them. But I absolutely find the whole thing very fascinating. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what happens after. I don't know what the point is, and neither do you. So yeah, I'm very interested. I'm very curious, but I'm curious enough, and I respect the mystery enough to not pretend I've arrived at an answer. Game, where did it go? Jaffe, you're agnostic. I'm agnostic atheist. Muscle Nerd says gaming is not what it used to be, at least not AAA. I have so much fun with indies. Yeah, I mean, part of that's age. Part of that is you mature out of simpler things and you want something a little more interesting with meat on the bone. And part of it is that a lot of games have become very conservative in regards to chance taking because they've gotten so expensive. But I still love AAA gaming. I mean, I have loved Dragon Age. I have loved Indie this year. I have loved Silent Hill 2 this year. Astrobot is not a game for me, but I certainly appreciate the great game that it is. Marvel Rivals, which just came out, is great. I think there's a lot of great stuff. Everyone knows deep down that it's all made up bullshit, says Fuzzy. Not useless, but made up. Humans made up the concept of God. We all know this. Call me arrogant. I don't care. It's make-believe. I mean, it's possibly make-believe. It's also possible that we were put here by aliens and they're like, look, these guys don't have the brain capacity to understand what's going on, but we can at least give them sort of a My Fisher-Price version of what's going on. And yes, as they evolve, they will learn that some of that stuff was sort of metaphorical, but in being metaphorical, it allowed them to eventually evolve to take the step to understand the literal of what's going on. I go, okay, that's possible. Makes more sense than the literal we're being offered by a lot of religions, but it could also just be nothing. I have no idea. Ember, why? I'm curious about this, Ember. Here's a question for you. Ember says, there's only one God, gentlemen. Why even type that? We know what you think. If you're a religious person, that's what you believe. Great. Enjoy that. What does it matter? What if we do respawn and the 1% of the world are the ones that respawn and know how to reach the point because they remember? Yeah, there's a movie Hancock, which is about that. That, you know, you die, but you can remember and you can leave messages for your future self and you pick up where you left off. You would be some of the most powerful people in the world. You'd know everything. It's what an amazing superpower. Absolutely. Jaffe, some religion puts fear into your heart or soul that transsexual is a sin and following that path will banish you to hell. And the fears make your child become a non-transsexual. Your thoughts? My thoughts are it's horrible. It's stupid. It's arrogant. It's cruel. It's mean. I cannot imagine. I mean, you really gotta go round the mental bend to believe that God is good and God loves you and God gives you free will. But you know what? God also creates people where he turns up the difficulty to like from software levels for a handful of people. Most people don't get that, but yeah, why not? Let's roll the dice on this one. Let's make them trans. And then I'm going to put a book out called the Bible. Yeah. And I'm going to say that gay folks, trans folks, all those folks are awful. Okay. So those folks have to live life taking what they feel they are and shove that down and be miserable, or live life terrified they're going to burn in hell. But, you know, all the people that are out there preaching the religion, let's give them easy. Like they actually understand the shoes that these guys have walked in. And then on top of it, let's preach all this stuff about don't judge your neighbor, lest you be judged. And let's really fuck these people up really bad. Yeah. I mean, come on. That's my thoughts. My thoughts are stupid. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Is what I would say. Bible acknowledges multiple gods, have no other gods before me. It kind of does. I mean, it doesn't, you can read it either way, but yeah. Marcus Sauer says, I got a genetic cancer disorder. Yeah. If God is real, fuck him. Yeah. I mean, seriously, what a dick. What a fucking dick. I mean, really, imagine having a kid with that shit. One of my best friends from growing up had a kid. Thank God he's okay, but got cancer when he was like 2. Yeah. God, you're awesome. Idiot. I mean, seriously, what a dick. It's mysterious. What a great get out of jail free card. Anything that happens is bad. We can call it mysterious. Fuck you. Fuck you, you asshole. Gravedigger, Toxic says, Jaffe, what about the Game Awards? What about them? Gabbing and Games is coming up this afternoon. It's all about video. Stoner Joe, thank you, buddy. Okay, I appreciate that. I will do what he says. He says, Jaffe, get the Bible. Flip to a random page, pick a randomly what, and that's God talking to you. Okay, let me do that real quick. Don't go anywhere. It's right back here. I have a copy of the Bible. 1 second. All right. Here it is. The Bible. No, we're going to be doing game stuff on Gabbin' and Games. This is not a game show because people get pissed when I bring politics, religion, aliens into Gabbin' and Games. So, unless there's big news, then I'll bring it up. But right now we're talking about this, but we'll get all your game conversations happening a little bit later today. Don't worry about All right, Stoner Joe, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to just randomly pick a page. I'm not going to look. Stop right there. I'm going to point. I'm going to read whatever I'm pointing at. It's really small. This is what the Lord says. This is from, I guess, Kings 13:5, I guess. It says, this is what the Lord says. A son named Josiah will be born to the house of David. On you, he will sacrifice the priest of high places who make offerings here, and human bones will be burned on you. The same day the man of God gave a sign. This is the sign the Lord has declared. The altar will be split apart and the ashes on it will be poured out. Oh, my goodness. What has occurred? What has occurred? All right, Embers Arcade, you are on with the Lord. What's up? Clearly not much.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. You're a very antagonist individual that continually shows up on the stream.
Oh, I can't.
You must like it here, pal. What can I do for you?
I don't think that I'm.
I don't care what.
Hold on, I can't hear you through the direct live stream thing. So
no, you should not. You got to listen through your headphones.
We're on like different timelines here.
Yep. Yeah, you got to listen on your headphones.
All right, give me just a sec here. Give me just a sec.
Why don't you ask God for a sec? Maybe he'll fix it for you.
All right, how about now? Can I get you to say something?
I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me.
That is, yeah.
Okay.
That is a thing that
someone wrote.
Said, yeah.
All right, go. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, you opened with I'm an incredibly antagonistic individual. I don't think that that's true at all.
On the stream, when you type things to me, you're very antagonistic.
I really don't think that's true. I mean, you have a very strong personality. You're very opinionated, and you like to debate things. I thought that you would be the kind of person that could kind of deal with having like strong conversations.
Strong conversations is different than dealing with an asshole. So don't be an asshole. You'll be my best friend. Go. What do you want to talk about?
I really don't think that I've been an asshole. Well, we're talking about this.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What do you want to talk about now? I'll tell you what, we'll let the chat decide. Let's have this conversation and they will decide at the end, are you an asshole? Begin. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about religion, because I think that you have a pretty reductionist or I don't know, uneducated idea of the utility of it.
Fair enough.
I think that if
the utility of it, I get the utility of it. That's I've never argued.
I think that you work backwards, because from where I've been an atheist for most of my life.
I'm not an atheist, but continue.
Oh, you're not an atheist. Would you say you're an agnostic?
I'm an agnostic atheist.
Okay. Well, then you're open to the idea of metaphysical.
Of course, I'm open to I don't know what's going on, but what I'm not open to is the literal interpretation of any religion that we've been presented with so far. But is it possible we were created or programmed or put here by aliens, or probably something we can't even fathom? Sure, of course. I don't know.
I think that it's pretty difficult to look at your own existence and the improbability of it in this universe.
It's impossible. It is impossible to look at your own existence, but continue.
What are you saying? You're addressing half of my sentence. I think it's difficult to look at or to look at your existence as it is in its improbability in the universe, and to not see design in it, right? And I know that you would reject that jump from, well, perhaps the existence of us and our ability to discern morality, or even our ability to discern reality at all, is evidence of some kind of creator, maybe, but then you reject the jump from there to the Gospels and to Jesus, and I understand that. Like I've been there.
What I reject though is the fact that using a human brain where it currently sits in terms of evolution and where it's come from, in comparing us to other things that evolve on the planet, the idea that we have the capacity and or the information yet to ask a question and arrive at a conclusion like, well, of course there has to be a God, because what made all this? How can you go to the beach and see how beautiful it is and go, how is there not a creator? How can something come from nothing? How can the universe be with all the laws of physics if someone didn't create it?
You're halfway there.
I look at all of that and I say, yeah, I don't know. But I also do know, or at least think I know based on evidence that I have, is that dogs can't do algebra right now. and they probably never will be able to. We may not be equipped to answer questions. That doesn't mean that that the proper response is let's make up some answers to what we perceive. It means going, oh yeah, we don't know, because maybe we aren't capable yet of understanding concepts like time. Science says time is a biological construct. It's part of the brain. So there may not be the idea of, well, how could something be that never was before? And the answer scientifically may be because time is not a linear thing. There is no time. It's all happening at the same time. So there is no before and after.
Okay, well, you said a lot, but
I'm going
to keep harping on this idea of working backwards, right?
Okay.
And so part of the reason why the idea of Jesus, or of the for example, the Catholic Church being the church founded by Jesus, and that is apostolic, and it continues since the time of Peter, is that is evidence. The writings of the Gospels, the eyewitness testimonies of the people who walked with Jesus, the people who were willing to die.
Wait. Evidence. So you're saying because even though Homo sapiens have been around for 100,000 years plus, for 2,000 years ago, there were some people who wrote a book, and even though that book has been shown to have been cobbled together over a millennia by various people with various agendas, and there were even sayings that have been attributed to Jesus that he didn't say, but popes actually said, but then they said, make it so Jesus said that. We have evidence of that. But you're saying simply because there's stuff in a book from 2,000 years ago, the nature of being in the book means that that's evidence?
Well, you use words like cobbled together to devalue putting together a text.
What I'm saying is, at various conclaves over the millennia, there have been various stories that were rejected and accepted into the Bible and into the overall narrative of what the Bible is.
I'm not contending that. No, I mean,
I know. So, but I don't know. Don't worry about that. You can't contend it because it's real. We know that. We both agree.
It's not that I can't contend it. It's that I'm not contending it.
But you can't, because we have evidence of when those things occurred.
It's not that I can't. It's that I'm not. I'm not saying that didn't happen.
Would you? But why would you? Why would you? I mean, but regardless, we agree it happened.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So the point being is that the only reason I brought that up was because you said, because it's in the Bible, there's this eyewitness testimony to people who walked with Jesus. You bring that up as if because it's in the Bible, it must be true. And I'm going, well, the Bible is.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have writings from St. Paul, which have been independently verified by historians as being legitimate writings that you can look at in history.
Give me one.
That suggests that there was a man, Jesus, who walked on earth, and that people followed him, and that they were willing to die horrible deaths in order to proclaim that he was God. I mean, people were skinned alive and boiled. They were hung upside down on a cross.
Okay, great. But that means what to you?
Well, that means to me that that's some sense of evidence.
But I reject what you're saying then.
And that's totally fine. That's fine. I totally understand why you would reject that, right?
Why would I reject that?
So,
why do you
think
think
back?
Wait, why would I reject it? You totally understand.
Because you don't believe that that's sufficient evidence. That
Why
people
do you
sacrificing
believe?
their lives for hundreds of years is insufficient evidence. I think that the 350 years that people were receiving the Eucharist in homes hidden from persecution before the church was founded is evidence to me that there's something here, that people wouldn't do this for no reason.
Of course. But wait a minute. Just stop with that though. So what you're saying is we cannot point to how humans behave psychologically in lots of other cases where they either want power or they want some kind of reward, either now or in the afterlife. And they are also easily manipulated or simply manipulated into doing all kinds of stuff that people from the outside looking in would say crazy. And you say that instead of going, oh, this is an example of that, this has to be an example of the fact that Jesus has all the superpowers that he's attributed to having.
I think that Jesus was God, and I think that the things that people said he did, and I think that the Gospels are evidence of that. Now, it's not empirical evidence. I understand that, but part of the reason, and again, working backwards, is that when you take a look at the ethics that were espoused by Jesus, which were highly revolutionary.
You are aware you didn't answer my question, correct?
Well, rephrase your question. I'm sorry if I didn't answer it.
Well, what I said was there is lots of evidence of whether it's a cult or a business leader or a celebrity where people will sacrifice all kinds of quality of life, including life, if they believe what's coming after, or if they believe that sacrifice will bring them something of value. So you offering up the fact that the evidence of the Bible exists as evidence, historical evidence, simply because you have stories of that happening again, or maybe the first time it was recorded, instead of going, oh yeah, that's man doing what he does. We also saw that with the Comet Hale-Bop people where they killed themselves with Nikes. We saw it with Jim Jones. We see it all the time throughout history. But for whatever reason, this time when it happened, that is evidence that Jesus is God.
Well, this is the only time in which somebody espoused an ethical framework that solves any moral dilemma throughout all of human history. This is the only time that we ever
Okay,
had
so
somebody
you're
do that.
telling me there is an ethical framework that solves any human dilemma
Yeah,
So you have to believe that. I mean, and that's fine, but that's
the
a belief.
moral, the moral framework that comes from the Gospels is airtight. It's totally airtight. And
Give me
I
an
have, for example, the idea of murder being a thing that should be. We can go back to the United Health CEO thing, where you seem pretty sympathetic to the idea that vengeance in this case is something that was desirable. Maybe you would phrase that differently, but you don't seem to have any inclination towards condemning murder. Right, a man was shot to death in the street. He wasn't harming anyone. He was just walking towards a conference, and he was shot in cold blood and killed. That is murder. And the only reason why we would think that that's murder, and the only reason why the concept of murder is a thing that we condemn generally, is because we believe that people are made in the image of God, and that baseline assumption comes with it certain protections. If you're made from divinity, then you are afforded those inalienable rights, and that
you are afforded the inalienable rights to murder people because there's
no,
plenty of
that's
murder.
not what I said. That's not. I said you're afforded the let's say inalienable protection from God because you're made in His image. You're a divine creature.
But
You're an
God murdered
expression.
lots of people in the Bible.
Well, God is the author of life. God can do differently. He doesn't work by our rules. You don't, and you're not going to like that answer. I understand that. I too.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But what about the fact that the Bible is not the first place where man ever said murder was wrong? You think it took the Bible to tell people murder was wrong?
Well, this isn't the only example. There
well,
are
that's the one you cited. Give me the best one.
That's a good example.
Give me the one.
Okay, so how many examples are going to be sufficient? How many examples are going to be sufficient?
Give me an example that the Bible.
Hold on, Jaffe. You do this very frequently, where you set goalposts and then you move goalposts. So how many examples are going to be sufficient?
I'm not. What goal for? Okay, well, let's take the accusation first. What goalpost did I set?
Well, you said give me an example, and I gave you an example, and they said, well, give me another one.
But
said, well, how many are going to be sufficient here?
It's not about the number. It's about saying you need to offer me an example that suggests that the airtight lessons in the gospel give me one that is airtight. Let me answer your question. Give me one that came from the Bible or the Gospels that originated from there, because a lot of these things you're saying, the 10 Commandments didn't arise out of the Moses coming down from the burning bush. These have been in all kinds of different religions and societal laws before Jesus showed up. So give me one that came from the Bible, like that God's like, hey, you guys hadn't thought of this one. Boom.
I'll give you my favorite. It's Genesis 1:26. That man and woman are made in the image of God. And and you're not going to find that impressive, but that single idea is incredibly radical, particularly in the context of history in which it was espoused, because saying that men and women are made in the image of God affords them a completely different protection from trespass than anybody would have believed for tens of thousands of years prior. That's part of the reason why we even think about things like human rights. Like you don't have ideas like human rights without that baseline assumption. We don't have words like inalienable rights in our Constitution unless you have the assumption that people are made in the image of God, and then because of that, to trespass upon someone is to trespass upon a higher divine order.
So is that why people don't look like Zeus? Because they did.
I'm sorry, what?
The image of God, there were lots of gods in Greek mythology, and people looked like them. They didn't have the powers, but they looked like them. So yes, the term God created man in his own image comes from the Bible. But the idea that gods before the Bible were these crazy special effect, summer blockbuster movie characters, and then the Bible was the first to show up and say, no, God looks like you. That's not accurate.
It's not about appearance, Jaffe. It's about the fact that you're an extension.
Well, you said the word image, so I assumed it was about.
Yeah, because that's the word that is used. But you have to understand that it's not simply as shallow as something surface area. It's about you being an expression. You, Jaffe, David Jaffe, being an extension of the highest divine order outside of the universe.
And what I will tell you with that is, like I said, I'm agnostic to that idea. The concept that we may all be the same consciousness, that we may all be built out of the same stuff, that fundamentally is just the essence of isness. That's possible. And it's possible that when we were, 2,000 years ago, just starting to think about things like this in a way that maybe was also eventually going to buttress up sooner than later with science, we needed to think about it simply. But I think metaphorical what you're saying. I don't think it's literal.
Apologies, I didn't mean to try to interrupt you there, but I think that this is just a fundamental disagreement between the way that we look at things, because you would have expected that idea to bubble up eventually just by the sheer passage of time, right? Is that correct?
Which idea?
The idea, at least, that people have. Well, I'll secularize it for you, right? When I say that people are made in the image of God and that affords them protection because we're an extension of divinity, that is a religious way to say the secular idea that people have human rights, right? Like that's sort of, I think, the parallel. I don't think that we would have arrived at that conclusion naturally with the passage of time. I'm not sure that science would have, or the development of science would have allowed us to reach that conclusion. It seems really remarkable that all of a sudden a man in Bethlehem is walking around and saying this thing, which is a radical idea at that point in human development, which defines the remainder of Western tradition for the next 2,000 years. I mean, you don't have the Enlightenment. You don't have
really. So you're telling me the Greeks didn't invent the idea of democracy, of one man, one vote? If the Greeks felt that men weren't equal, if men weren't worth respect by simply being alive, then why in the world would everybody get a vote? Why?
Well, I really think you're veering, and also I don't think that's entirely accurate.
I can show you it's accurate, and you can't say I'm veering without telling me where I'm veering into.
Well, you're veering into Greek, like Greco.
I'm veering into something that predates the Bible,
right? But were women allowed to participate in the democratic process in Greece?
Well, they certainly weren't, and they certainly weren't for a long time in America, well after the Bible, but let's find out.
Well, no, but we had a framework that was built into the DNA of our Constitution, which allowed eventually for the liberation.
You're veering. You're basically saying,
absolutely not.
Where in the DNA of the Constitution was it ever going to suggest, in a way that's more powerful than the DNA of the Greek and Roman idea of democracy, that slaves were worth more than less of a person and women could vote? Because I would suggest that saying one man, one vote, which basically comes from Greek and Rome that predates the Bible, is just as much, if not more, of a reflection of DNA being there, that ultimately everyone should be equal, than the Constitution that literally goes out of its way to say man is equal, but not if you're black and not if you're a woman.
I don't think that we're disagreeing here. Because,
we are disagreeing.
No, because the United States and a lot of Western constitutions that were built in this end of the last millennia absolutely borrowed from Greco-Roman government and philosophy. I mean, that's what the West is. I mean, you're right that these ideas are things that were experimented with in ancient times. And
okay, so then you're saying the Bible gave them to us, and I'm saying they didn't.
But democracy is not what I was saying. I mean, you focused on democracy in Greek culture.
Well, you said equal rights and a man being basically untrespassable, meaning that we all were created equal and we all had the right of life and human rights. That was the secular version.
This goes far deeper than voting, and of course, governments are going to decide their own destinies on their own.
Well, here's the deal. Let's get to the root of it. I don't think you're right, and you don't think I'm right. What do you think that's about, that you believe this and I don't? Because ultimately we're just arguing for the sake of hearing ourselves argue, right? But fundamentally, there are a lot of people like you and there are a lot of people like me. So what is it that creates a person like you and like me, and why do you think we're that different?
I will answer your question, and I want to say this because I know that you've been very unhappy with me recently in your chat. I promise you that nothing that I've said is out of malice, and what I'm about to say is not out of malice.
Okay, go.
Part of the reason that I'm compelled by not just the story of Christ, but the Catholic Church and the edicts of the Catholic Church is because I've seen that the more I align my life with those edicts, the more that my life becomes prosperous. And I don't mean that as far as money goes. I mean my own happiness, my sense of purpose, my joy, living in a Catholic marriage, and going to church every week and participating in confession, and also believing the things like the fact that all men are made in the image of God. All mankind is made in the image of God.
Okay.
It's completely changed the way that I interact with you.
I believe you, but you are also aware that there's also a secular version of that called psychology and called observer bias, right? I could read the book The Secret and go, anything I think about will happen. And I'll start to see things that anything I think about will happen that will make me think that the secret's happening. But what's really happening is I'm selectively choosing unconsciously things to basically buttress up the way I want to view the world.
Yeah,
and
I know.
eventually you have a lot of those examples, and you selectively prune out the ones that don't prove your case, again, subconsciously, and you go, aha, see, it works. And again, I get it, but I would say that I don't agree with you.
Right. And so can I give you just one quick anecdote about this, and then I'll answer the other side of your question as well.
Sure.
The moment that I believed in God after about 18 years of being an atheist is that I was sitting alone, and I was struck by the thought that all of the love in my life, from my family, from my wife, from my friends, all the love that I've experienced was or existed independently of me rather than existing within the confines of my own psychology. And what I mean by that is
I know what you mean by that. I hear you. Great.
Right,
What
okay,
about it?
great.
What about that? What about that epiphany? What about it?
Well, that concluded to there being some kind of a network outside of me that I was connected to. And that to me is God. And that is not a profound thing to say to people. And when I say it to people, they're not blown away, but that's
It's
what
not
happened
profound.
to me. That's what happened to me. Right.
Great.
So
But
that has happened in
and
my
that's
life. And the
wonderful
reason
that
why
that
I
happened to
think
you.
that-
I would probably explain it away psychologically, but I also would be open-minded enough to go, I've taken some drugs before, a lot of pot before, where I've seen things and heard things. And I'm like, is it all in my head? Maybe, probably. But you know what? Maybe it's also a way that we view some sense of the Matrix. And I don't mean the movie The Matrix, but the scaffolding that is the essence of our world. And maybe it's God, maybe it's not, maybe it's aliens. I don't know. That's why I'm agnostic. But what I will tell you is, giving it at this point, giving it definition other than the definition of we don't know what's going on, let's work together and figure it out, I think is basically harmful at this point. We've evolved enough to the point that mostly religion now just manipulates people. It does bring comfort, and I think that's great. I get the comfort part of it. I get the community part of it. I think that's great. The morality that a lot of the religions talk about, I think that's great. But I think what we should be capable now at this point of separating those really good things we've gotten from traditional religion and going, that can be in a bucket over here to make life better for people. And at the same time, let's actually go, let's leave the kids' stories behind us and start looking now at what's really going on. Even if there is a God, it ain't this.
The hard
But
part
again,
is that I think you find that when you try to leave behind the part that you don't like and
not that I
single
don't like it. It would be, it just, there's no evidence for
okay,
it.
well then
It's
I'll say
made
that
up.
if you leave behind the things that you think are made up, the rest of it falls apart. It's this idea that nature abhors a vacuum, and I think that we see it in the
Why does
modern
it fall
world today.
apart? Why do you think that if without the concept of a God who judges you, you can't be good to other people? I don't believe in God. I think I'm good to other people.
Well, I think that you frame that in a way that's a bit deceptive. I don't think that that's exactly
Frame it in the way that you think makes the whole model fall apart. If you get rid of the fantasy stuff that I think is fantastical.
Well, because if you don't assume that God is real and that you were made in the image of God, then the rest of it falls apart.
What falls apart?
Human rights, for example.
Why would human rights fall apart?
Name me all the human rights.
Don't enslave people. Don't murder people. Don't treat people like shit. Don't treat people unequally. Let's start with those four.
Don't treat people like shit is a human right.
I think those are there are no human rights are man defined.
So your human rights. Okay, so where are human rights for all people written? Where are they written?
They're not written.
Okay. So then if they're trespassed upon, who upholds them? Who defends those human rights?
The law.
Well, the law and morality, as you know, I'm sure, are not always in tandem.
No, they're not, because people are corrupt.
Well, then the law is not a moral universal system that you can apply.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I don't have any evidence to suggest, other than just kind of a gut feeling, that maybe there is a sense of right and wrong. But if you were to point out to me that no, there's not a sense of right and wrong, it's totally subjective and it's totally based on point of view, I'd go, okay,
no,
that tracks.
Jaffe, actually, I think that what you just said is that you have an instinctual, sort of like innate sense of morality.
I also have an innate sense to jump out of the way of an oncoming car. Just because you have an instinct doesn't mean it comes from God. It means that it probably comes from a sense of needing to fit into a society so we would not kill each other before we were Homo sapiens, so we would evolve.
I totally agree that just because you have an instinct to preserve your survival does not mean that there's evidence for God. Every creature on the planet has an instinct to preserve its survival. The only creatures on the planet that have the ability to discern morality are human beings like you.
Yes, but
just said
that's
that
because
you have the
human
ability
beings
to discern
created morality.
No, because you said you have a gut feeling. You're witnessing morality. You're not creating it. You're discovering it. That's different. That means it's already there and it exists independently of you.
Okay, first off, I don't agree, but let's assume you're right. Let's assume that one of the laws of nature, like maybe even more, but let's assume it's as baked into the DNA of the cake of reality as gravity is morality. Cool, great. It still doesn't mean that religion is real and God is real.
Well, sure, you can stop your journey and say, okay, morality exists objectively. There is an objective moral framework.
I'm not saying there is. I'm saying maybe. I don't think so,
I'm
but
working
maybe.
I'm working inside of your assumption.
Okay,
here, like
okay.
your hypothetical.
Let's assume you believe that. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we assume you believe that, and then you just stop. Then that's a choice you've made. You say, okay, well, I'm not going to try to discern where that morality comes from or why it's baked into the DNA of the universe.
I did. Yeah, okay, but I wouldn't make that choice. I wouldn't say I'm an agnostic because I'm curious because I don't know where it comes from.
Well, so and this is gonna. I'm not even going to say it because I know that immediately you're going to swat it away. I think it comes from God.
I'm
right?
thrilled you think that's great, but I don't agree. If you talk about God in the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or whatever, then no, I don't agree with you. But do I maybe? Is it possible it comes from a concept of a God that we call God today because metaphorically that's the best we can do? Sure. But I don't think it's what you're talking about.
And you said the words yourself. You said the word mystery. I mean, the nature of God is certainly a mystery, and we've been doing theology, which is not just made up words. I mean, this is a wing of the philosophical school of thought. We've been doing this for thousands of years.
Okay, let's get to the real issue though, because you're not going to convince me. Not you're just not, because I think what you're saying is,
and that's okay. I hope I've at least helped you see things a little bit differently, though.
No, you have not. You have not.
Not at all. Not at all.
What you've helped me do is go, we're not going to ever solve this. And either I'm right, you're right, we're both right. Who knows? It really doesn't matter. The real issue is, why do you think there are people like you and people like me?
Right. Okay. So there are a lot of reasons why people don't believe in God. And I have experience with this because I did not believe in God for many, many years, since I was a teenager through some of my middle adulthood.
Okay.
Part of it was that I did not have sufficient answers to the questions that I had when I was going to Catholic school. And there was no religious authority that allowed me to really explore questions like, well, where did God come from? I have no answer to that. That's not satisfactory. This isn't enough. At some point, though, and this may not be you, but at some point I realized that I was rejecting the idea of objective morality, that I was rejecting the edicts of how to live a life in grace, because I didn't want to be held accountable for my hedonism and my own or narcissism. I didn't want to be held accountable for the idea that I should be able to just have unprotected sex and abort a baby that may come from that. That shouldn't be immoral. Moral systems are relative. It's in my belief system. I don't think it's a bad thing to do these things. They think that it's, Catholics think it's a bad thing. They're crazy. I think they're crazy. I think at some point it does become about trying to evade the accountability that may exist if God is real and if his edicts are true.
Yeah, I don't have that accountability. I think if God is real,
it's very clear. Yes.
Yeah. And that's fine. I think if God is real, God would look at me and say, "You're awesome, dude. I'm a fan." And if he's not, he can go fuck himself.
I think that God, of course, I mean, then this is a settled issue, that God truly does love you, truly. And that's
not a settled issue.
That is settled. I mean, that's one of the things that we know.
Issue that Optimus Prime truly enjoys pasta. You don't have evidence that God loves me because you don't have evidence of God. So you can believe that, and I respect that. But please don't say it's a settled issue. That's a ridiculous way to frame something you're saying when you know good and well it's not. The only person who would believe that is a fucking intellectual moron.
Do you think that I'm an intellectual moron after having this conversation?
I said the only person that would believe that, meaning anyone who would take what you said to heart as evidence, would be an intellectual moron.
So if I tell you that I believe that God loves you, or that I believe that
if you say that God loves me is a, whatever you called it, a settled fact or something,
it's
and I believed it, I would be an intellectual moron.
Can I rephrase that? Within the framework of this religious purview, of the Catholic purview, I mean that's like rule number one. It's number
Cool.
2. God is real. Rule number 2, God loves you.
Okay,
And
great.
I think that's good news, but that doesn't matter, right? Because I know your archetype, and I know that you aren't compelled by that, but I think that
I'm not compelled by that.
I think that you should consider the fact that when I ask you about human rights, which I'm sure are very important to you,
Absolutely.
you have absolutely no idea how to define that. You don't know where they come from. You don't know where they're written or who wrote
Wait, but
them. You don't know
that's
who
not
enforces them.
that's not accurate. The idea of when you ask me about human rights, or let's just get to, I assume the meat of that is morality, correct?
Right. Yeah. Morality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where I think morality probably comes from is from biological evolution, where because we have much different brains than other animals, and we're capable of thought and a level of manipulation beyond just like, I'm going to hide my bananas because I'm a monkey and I don't want the other monkeys to get them. That morality comes from going, we realize that the creatures that are, or the humans that are surviving, are the ones that are somehow following a path that they aren't hurting other people, or they're not doing these X number of things. And in not doing these X number of things, those individuals continued the species forward and the other ones died out. That's where I think it probably comes from.
I think
But
that
there's a lot more evidence of that than the fact that there is a law of morality that is seeded into the very fabric of the universe. That may be the case, by the way, but I don't know if that's the case, and you don't either.
Oh, I think it's very easy to prove that that's the case, that there is a moral framework. Can you argue that in any situation, child rape is anything but evil?
In almost any situation, sure.
In every situation, it's evil.
In almost, I mean, you're getting into things like, the Book of Mormon, where it's like these people thought raping a baby would cure them of AIDS or whatever. I mean, you can, if you go abuse this fetus, it'll stop the asteroid from coming or whatever. But yes, on the whole, in our modern society, it's horrific.
I
can't
feel
think of,
I feel a little like guilty using that as an example, because it's just it's low hanging fruit. But that's an example of a thing that like,
okay, but
that is evil every time. And
well,
if
again,
it's evil every time, it's objectively immoral.
Well, again, it's not evil every time, but in our modern world, I can't think of any reason you would ever do something so horrific and awful.
Right.
And I'd like to think that the Catholic Church would think that as well. But given the proclivity for diddling little kids there, I don't know what to tell you. But
listen,
yeah.
I'm not gonna dispute that there has been a great deal of sin inside of the institution, and the institution is absolutely just men who have taken the keys to the kingdom from God and have built it in the way that they can, and that's going to be deeply flawed. Trust me, I'm with you.
Okay, fine. But let's assume though that we fundamentally think harming a baby, anyone, but let's just take a baby who can't defend themselves, is fundamentally a bad thing to do. What about it? I would argue that can still be looked at as a biological value. You're taking the species at its most basic and vulnerable that needs to continue the species, and you're harming it. Of course, we would say we're not going to do that.
I think that there's a connection there, which is if a thing is fundamentally evil at all times, and you have no proclivity against using the word evil. You use the word evil against the CEO who was murdered. So
but it's hyperbolic. I don't believe it's a literal thing. Like you can put it on the elemental table. There are people who are assholes.
I think that evil is a thing that exists.
I'm thrilled. Okay, it doesn't matter.
No, that's part of my point.
I want to get to the essence of basically, look, you have to live on this planet. I have to live on this planet. And sometimes it's going to be good. Sometimes it's going to be bad. But let me ask you this. Why don't you leave people alone? Like, I respect the fact that Christian people and religious people don't like abortion. Then just don't get an abortion. But no one needs your help. No one wants your help.
I'm so glad you asked that question, Jaffe.
I didn't ask a question. Just why don't you leave?
Okay, I'm glad you made that statement.
Yeah.
Because, oh God, this is going to be tough.
It's not, because I don't have a lot of time. So you don't have time to make it
so do you believe that murder is evil?
I don't believe in evil, but murder, define murder. Are you taking a life that's not in self-defense?
Are you killing an innocent life?
I don't understand what innocent means.
For the sake of, are you ending a life? Yeah, innocent. I mean,
well, how do you define innocent? One could argue that innocent, the CEO of the healthcare company was innocent.
You can discern what is the difference between murder and self-defense, correct? You have the ability to discern that. So you know what it is for somebody to be innocent is when they're killed unjustly.
No,
correct?
because unjustly is subjective. Is the murder of the CEO a just killing because his actions that looked like they were going to continue have already brought pain and death to many, many, many people? Was that a just killing or an unjust killing?
No, I think he was murdered, and I think that was wrong. I don't think that that's how we shouldn't promote vigilantism in our society. I think that's very bad. I think it's a horrible road that we're going down. But you asked about abortion.
He was unjust.
No, he was killed unjustly.
But were his actions before he were killed, making his decisions for the CEO as CEO, were those unjust actions?
No, I don't think that he deserved to die for being at the head of a
I didn't
company.
ask you that. I said, were they unjust? Would God look at what he did, denying people the right to health care so him and his shareholders could make more money?
Well,
Even
no, I
though the
don't
money they
think that was
had.
just. No, I agree with you that I don't think that what he was doing was good.
No, was it just?
Well, if you're asking about justice, then you're asking about.
You're saying that killing is okay if the person you're killing is unjust, is what you said, I thought.
No, I'm saying that killing an innocent person unjustly, right? That's murder.
So is he innocent?
I don't think that he deserved to be murdered.
I didn't ask you that. Is he innocent of doing? Okay, so you're saying what he did. What would someone have to do to be worthy of murder?
Well, they would have to be attempting to take the life of another person, for example, right?
This,
so then
okay, but this person. Okay, so you have to catch them in the act then.
Well, the idea is that there's a difference between killing to defend yourself and then killing someone unjustly. That's murder. There's a difference.
Wait a minute. Well, wait a minute though. You're saying that if you're killing someone else, I can kill you, and that is okay, correct?
I'm saying that there are situations in which self-defense is absolutely the right thing to do. Absolutely. Somebody invades your home, for example.
Yeah, but if somebody's walking around, like if I could have killed Hitler, would that have been just? Would that have been murder, or would that have been justified?
I mean, I think that this hypothetical is we did try to kill Hitler.
Okay,
and
so
there have been wars that the Catholic Church
so
sanctioned
that was okay. That was okay.
It's case by case. You know,
I'm asking you about that case. That was okay.
About United Health?
About killing Hitler.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he was at the head of an evil institution. He was committing great evil in the name of his country and for his power, for his selfish
needs. So
why?
What I'm asking you is, why is being the CEO that has plenty of money to feed their children and live, and they're not suffering on the streets, they have money, their shareholders have money.
Mm-hmm.
Why is him continuing to make decisions to deny people life-saving health care? Why is that not the same as what Hitler was doing? It's obviously on a much smaller scale.
Well, you just answered your own question, right?
Okay, so there's a little bit of murder is okay then. So if the scale is the answer to the question, then it's a little bit of murder can work.
No, because murder is in a category of its own. And this is a very complicated issue.
It's not complicated. He was basically doing shit that is most people would say is evil. And somebody said, I'm not going to let you do evil anymore.
Here's what I'm going to say, and I know what you're going to say back. I'm going to tell you that
why even have the conversation?
Because I've done this before. But listen, what I'm going to say is that
why do you keep doing it? It's clearly not working.
In his case, he was doing something, I think, that is clearly exploitative of people and should be taken to task within the judicial system, not murdered in the street. I think that that's insane that we think that that's okay.
I don't think it's okay, but I think it's where we're at.
You would say that that's not going to work because the people are out of options. They have no other options.
That's right.
That this is the only thing that we can do is just murder people in the street. And I would just warn heavily against the idea of condoning that kind of vigilantism.
Nobody wants it, but that's where we're at.
I don't think
because if you were so effective in converting people to the wonderful views of Jesus, then you wouldn't have these people that are sitting in political office or businesses or lobbyists or heads of these companies that have no problem putting their heads down and sleeping at night in their lap of luxury that has been built on the backs of people that they have oppressed and literally led to their deaths.
I don't disagree with you on that.
You do disagree with me because if you're basically telling the people that, well, yes, all that's true and they're bad, but you got to just suck it up, buddy, because it's what your only option that is available to you to stop it. I don't approve of that.
We have a judicial system which is designed.
And it doesn't work because the judicial system
doesn't work well, but it works.
It doesn't work if you don't have the money and the lawyers and the political influence. We've seen it time and again on both sides of the aisle. The idea that you want the average person in America, at least that's all I can speak to suggest to continue to eat the shit sandwich that is the trope and is the bumper sticker of the system is there. You just have to be patient and let it work itself out. That doesn't work anymore. People, the jig is up.
we can have activism and we can have radical change,
Activism
but the
doesn't work
idea of
either.
murdering people in the street is,
I'm thrilled it doesn't
sure,
bother you, but guess what? I'm glad he's dead.
but we didn't get to talk about abortion, but
I gotta go. I gotta go. It's going too long. I gotta
All
get some
right.
super chats and I gotta prep the afternoon. Call back on another stream that's not the game stream, not tomorrow because people are tired of it now. But call back in a week or call back next week or Friday, and we'll pick up the abortion issue. I like talking to you. It's interesting, but I don't agree with you, and you don't agree with me, and that's okay. That's what makes life fun. Be well, sir. See ya.
God bless you.
All right. Ludo, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, the Genesis book beginning is a copy paste of the Enuma Elish, an older Sumerian novel, and 10 Commandments are a copy paste of the Hammurabi tablets that also predates them. I don't know about either of those things, but that sounds like it tracks to me. And again, but that's why I said to Ember, it's quite possible. I mean, I don't know, it's possible, but it wouldn't surprise me. It fits in the bucket of being an agnostic if maybe we were put here by aliens or a programmer or another race of humans that have evolved and they said, you're not ready. You know, it's kind of like introducing a kid to politics who says, I got no analogy, but it's like, here's the Fisher Price version. Eventually you will evolve out of this. And it may be that all of these similarities we see through not just religious stories, but stories and storytelling in general could very well be the metaphorical version of what we can handle right now. And we're seeing a lot of the conflict. Joseph Campbell talks about, when mankind's myths no longer work is where you get chaos. And the old myths don't work anymore because we have had science come along and say, you can't possibly ask us to believe that in the world in which we live. But eventually we need new myths or truths that will probably feel like truths, and then they will become myths to take that next step. And that's why we have all this conflict, because you have folks like Ember that genuinely believe what I think are myths are reality. And you have people like me that go, I don't know what's going on, but what's being offered to us is nowhere near good enough based on our objective reality. So we'll have to see, but it could very well be, Ludo, that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. I don't know. And then let me get this one here real quick, which I really appreciate. Thank you guys for the support. Let me find it over on this channel. It's easier to see over here. Oni. Well, first let me get Zan. Zan's been a member for 6 months. Thank you, buddy. He says, the reason we will never agree on this, simply put, religion is a social construct. I think you're probably right. Like I said, I'm agnostic enough to go, maybe we were programmed in our DNA to have this sense of the question and some of the basic understandings that we will eventually grow into. But certainly, I think what you're saying is probable. But thank you for the support. And then Onami no Kyo, thank you, buddy. Super chat. Morality comes from a simple idea and evolved there. Do not treat others in ways you would not like to be treated. Yeah, I mean, my assumption is that morality or that concept came from the fact that we realized doing that was a quick trip to the grave. And the people who learned, hey, I need to somehow figure out how to manipulate this thing called life so I survive are the ones that were able to propagate the species and blah, blah, blah. So, all right, fellas, there you go. That has been the Jaffe stream. There will be a Gavin Games today. It'll be a little bit later than usual because this went long, but I enjoyed it. I hope you did too, except Brad Skaggs. Sorry we put you to sleep, Bradley, you asshole. But again, we're back tomorrow with the Jaffe stream where it's all kinds of topics, whatever you guys want to talk about. That lets us get all that out of the way so we can talk about pure video game love, no politics, no agendas, no left or right, just the beautiful video games that exist in our beautiful world. That will be coming a little bit later today as well as tomorrow as well. In the meantime, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, mods. I ignored my member milestone about the Last Crusade. Did I? Let me see. Let me go get it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be accused of such nonsense. Oh, there it is. Oh, and then Oni Mo no, I didn't see these. These didn't pop. I don't know why. Okay, so let me get these two real quick. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I agree. Diet Soda Soldiers, 43 months. Thank you, Oni May no Kyo. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. Darth Nugget's been a cult member for 43 months. That's impressive and grateful. And I'm grateful and I appreciate it, buddy. He says, Jaffe, is the real reason you so wrongly state The Last Crusade is dog doo-doo because the Christian theme's the movie? Bigot? I don't think it's dog doo-doo. I think it's a great movie. I don't think it's the best Indiana Jones movie. I think what happened was you get Raiders, where Indy was invented pretty much, right? That was the first time we got to see him. And he's younger and he's edgier, and he seemed there are moments in that movie like where he says to Belloc, where he's like, you want to talk to God, let's go see him together. I've got nothing better to do. Like where he's pissed and he's willing to just say, fucking just kill me, bitch. Right. Or there's the moment where he's fucking sick of being beaten up in the truck. And when he slams that guy's head and then throws him out, there's this kind of fuck you aggressive assholeness to Indy. You see that character in Temple of Doom as well. There's just he's got more of an edge. He's like Sean Connery playing James Bond. And what you get in Temple of Doom is a great story. I love the narrative of Temple of Doom. But what you get in Temple of Doom is much more of he's not like he's a sitcom guy, but he's much softer. He's got a couple of moments, but he's getting older. He's mellowing. And he's no longer that kind of, go fuck yourself if you get in the way of my archaeological pursuits, which I think made him kind of cool, and I think Great Circle, the new game, that's the Indy we get. He's still cool. He's interesting. He's smart. He has action and all that, but there is a sense that he's kind of this sort of young, horse that just needs to run. He hasn't softened yet. And I think that's prime Indy, but the story's great. Other than they took Marcus Brody, a wonderful character in the first Raiders, and they bring him back and he's a fucking goofball. And it's like, okay, that would be fine. And again, Spielberg, it's his movie. I still enjoyed the movie a great deal. People can change the characters if they want. He said the reason they did that is because it would make Henry Jones, the Sean Connery character, less impressive if Marcus was also the smart older archaeologist. So they had to make him the comic relief. But it's got nothing to do with the religion. The Raiders Lost Ark is all about religion. It's about the goddamn Ark of the Covenant and the fucking 10 Commandments and shit. They're all religious stories. All right. There you go, my friends. What fun to sit and talk to your pals all day about topics that are interesting. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here. I will be back a little bit later with Gavin and Games. In the meantime, be well, be safe, and I really do appreciate it. Bye, you guys. See you later.